This is Wildism Podcast. Welcome back, everyone. It's been a while, and I'm joined by my chums, Mark, Paul, and Alan.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
We're on TV.
We're on TV this time, yeah. So, for this episode, we're talking about legacy sequels, where you have a sequel to a film that's about 20 or 30 years old. Is it a good idea? Is it completely pants? Does it not work? Does it work? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section below. But we're going to go through a number of movies now, and we're going to talk about what we think about them, whether it was a good idea or not. We've got a nice little list in front of us, so I think we should probably start at the top, probably. So Star Wars and versus the, I would probably say the originals, and then the prequels, and then the sequels. So, who wants to pick that off? Obviously, you think it's a great idea.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
That's shocking.
Well, I mean, we all loved, Star Wars as it was. 77 to 83. We loved the original ones. We loved all the ropey effects, the rotoscoping, the stop motion stuff.
Yeah. Thumbs up for everything there. Yeah. And the old before they done them up.
Yeah, exactly. This is pre 1997 special edition. This is how the films were made. This is how you should make them. And then we fast forward, sort of like 30 years later. Disney had bought the company from George Lucas for an extortionate amount of money. Sorry, exuberant, probably a better word.
Yeah.
And they thought, okay, well, we'll just get Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford. We'll pop them in a new adventure and see how we get along. The crime I find with this is that you didn't have those three principal actors actually in a scene in The Force Awakens. They didn't share a scene.
It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, missed opportunity. And of course, how Han's killed off in the third act of The Force Awakens, and then you're just left with Mark Hamill, who doesn't actually say anything in that film.
Doesn't say a word.
Doesn't say a word in that film.
Mm.
And he's in it for what? 20 seconds?
20 seconds to a minute, maybe.
At the end.
At the end, and that's it.
Doesn't he drop kick his lightsaber into the ocean?
The Last Jedi, he just takes it and he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Completely out of character.
Yeah.
It paid him to do it.
Yeah, he said, I think there's a documentary on the Blu-ray release, and it says, the documentary starts with Mark Hamill, and he's like, I fundamentally disagree with everything my character does in this film.
Mm.
And with that said, move on.
Yeah.
Well, the problem was that it was three different writers for the episodes.
Yeah. So
why they didn't sort of sit down together and go, let's work out a whole contingent.
Let's put a whole storyline together, like George did with A New Hope up to Return of the Jedi. We've got a whole arc going forward. He even did that with the prequels. Phantom Menace right to the Revenge of the Sith. He had an arc. Okay, you knew where you were going with that arc because you wrote them backwards technically.
Mm.
But with like this one, the three Disney films, they were written separately.
Yeah.
So you go to that room, you write this film. Wait a couple of years, you go to you write this one. You go away, you write this one, and it just turned into a complete mess.
That was probably one of the worst ideas they had.
Yeah, definitely one of the worst ideas, I think.
Especially Ryan Johnson for the episode 8, which was like, what are you doing? You ask handle.
Yeah, I think if you re-edited that film, it'd be a lot better.
Yeah,
I've seen some on
everything.
I've seen some on YouTube actually re-edited like the last 30 minutes. So basically, Luke doesn't die in this edit, and it's done so good, well. And you're thinking, well, why didn't you just do that?
Yeah,
I didn't care about
it. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, of course. The problem is the original Star Wars films were lightning in a bottle at the time, and you can't capture that again. You can't bring that to this day and age. You just can't do it.
And it's not necessarily because of the production. And what they did.
The money's on the screen. They look good. The films look brilliant. They look amazing. Technically, from a cinematic point of view, they look amazing.
But it was about the climate of the world at the time.
Yeah.
Like the people, they hadn't seen anything like that before. Versus today, where you've got everything available on the internet, and so nothing's really going to amaze people anymore. So you have to sort of adapt to that environment.
Yeah.
And they didn't. So, okay, so you don't really agree generally with this trilogy?
No.
Okay.
No, I can take little bits of it thinking, yeah, really, really good. I enjoyed that.
Okay.
But as a whole, no.
What do you think?
No, no. Also, I agree with Alan. The only 6 films I have in my house and I'll always watch are George's originals and George's prequels, and that's it. They're real authentic Star Wars films, but I won't own the Disney ones. I've got rid of them. Won't have Disney Star Wars films in my house ever again. I won't watch them again.
Did you burn them in the style of the Darth Vader scene at the end of 6?
That would have been.
Well, now you come to mention it, I might go actually purchase them and actually do what you've just suggested and burn them and just probably eat popcorn and love everything.
Just stand there all like focused on
yes.
it.
You make for a better film.
Yeah, it would make a better movie, actually. Yeah. I mean, I actually enjoy watching fan films online, actually. I think they sort of know what they're doing because I always say with the fans that they understand Star Wars and appreciate Star Wars. So when you see their films, where they put it all together, I would actually sit down and watch their films more than the Disney ones. And I think they're brilliant, some of the fan films.
There's a Darth Maul one. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
It's really good. It's fabulous. It's 15-minute film. The guy does Darth Maul.
It's only 15 minutes. I'm thinking what you've done is like a billion light years ahead of what Disney can do.
What about scene 48 or whatever it was, where they redid
they redid Obi-Wan vs. Vader. You seen that one?
Where it's
really well done.
Oh no, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah,
no,
like
I haven't.
Alec Guinness is doing his backflips and things.
Oh, send me a link to
Yeah,
that.
sure. It's really well
It
done.
is really good. You should watch it.
Okay.
And it's intercut with the original New Hope film.
Yeah.
And it's a much more violent battle between the two, rather than two old men just
Yeah.
Well,
tanking.
yeah.
That's what it is.
What do you think, Mark?
No, I agree with you guys as well. I mean, but from a personal point of view, I was never crazy about the prequels or the sequels. I only particularly like the original trilogy. And when I said earlier, the original before they were touched up and had, because I quite like Return of the Jedi personally, but I hate the new effects like the new song and the Yub Yub song's missing from the end. You know, it's all got all new because they incorporated all the prequel stories and try and wrap it up. And yeah, I can see what they were trying to do, but it's kind of like you want it how you remember it, and that wasn't how I remembered it. Most of the film is you know, kept more or less intact, but because they tinkered with it too much. And I think with George Lucas, I think he just wanted to have it a certain way, but at least with Spielberg, and Lucas, they did Spielberg had control of Indiana Jones and said, look, we'll remaster them, but you know, warts and all mistakes, you know, I'm not going to tinker with it. The only thing they did do was remove a few matte paintings and maybe
Improve them, yeah.
That's fine, you know. They didn't add scenes and music cues and things like that. You know, you want it how you remember it.
Of course.
You know, he sounds, you know, a bit anal, but that's how I want my films, how I remember them.
Yeah.
Even Jaws, they did the audio, and they did a new 5.1 or 8.1 soundtrack, and they redid all these sound effects, so it sounds wrong. To me, you know, it's it sounds more realistic, but I want the old sounds, if you know what I mean. All
The explosion at the end.
Explosions sound different.
That's ruined.
Gunshots are all different, and the waves, you know, the crashing through the glass, the shark, you know, it's all. I don't know. It just doesn't sound like how it should sound, if you know what I mean. But a lot of Universal did do that with a lot of their films. Smoking the Bandit, they redid all the car sounds, and it just sounds wrong. Scarface as well. All the gunshots all sound different.
No, you shouldn't try to update.
Yeah.
You know, all the stuff.
I mean, enhance the picture, you know, have it clear and everything, and have it. I'm all for that, but if you can tweak the sound to make it sound better without having to ruin the soundtrack,
Changing completely,
then by all means. So in that sense, I'm originals all the way. But that's why I think it's a good subject that we're talking about, so we can, because some films do benefit from a legacy sequel. You know, there are a few, which I'm sure we'll come to shortly. But it just, from a jumping off point, you know, it's a good example because Disney, I think, is it fair to say that the Disney people were like, yes, we'll get the original actors back, and I hope that the fans will come and see it thinking, oh great, we get to see all our people back on screen together, and they not deliberately, I don't know if they thought that far ahead, but they just thought, well, we just, you know, just get bums on the seats and just get them in, and then just do whatever the hell we want, sort of thing. Yeah, you know, it's like they didn't cater for their audience, sort of thing. They just rather you know, get it in, and you know, if they like it, they like it. Who cares? They've already paid to see it. We've made our money.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And was Rogue One actually a
There was a Disney film, yeah.
Yeah,
It's the best one they've done.
Yeah, because that to me felt like they catered a little bit to the fans. In terms
It was done well.
Yeah, it was done how I think the prequel should have been done. And with that in mind, it looked like a 70s kind of. The actors, they made an effort to make it look like it was part of the same. Obviously, effects and it's all different.
And the genius of that shot, where it's completely black darkness, and then Vader turns on his light, and the whole scene is lit up by his lights.
I really love that, and I think that was like a last minute addition. Apparently, it wasn't even the original script. They just were on the set, and the guy's like, "Hey, this would be a really good idea." We'll just stick it in.
Well, that's how I love productions that work like that, where they just sort of go, "Hang on, that looks really good. Let's just film that and see if it makes the cut."
The music,
like how we make stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So the music of that sequence is actually very good. It's actually a slowed down Imperial March.
Is it?
Yeah, with a bit of operatic in there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if you speed it up, I think there's a video on YouTube about it. But if you speed it up like double speed,
Yeah.
it goes, so it's all slowed down.
Nice.
With all the operatic of Vader just hacking through these Imperial soldiers. I enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, as a little bit of a footnote as well, I loved the finale of Mandalorian season 2. I've watched so many reactions to that, and it's like this mysterious X-wing turns up, and it's like, who the hell is that? And then this guy with the herd on and like his Jedi garb comes in, and it's like, whoa. And he's literally kicking ass, and he's making his way up to the bridge and shit, and pulls his head down, and it's Luke Skywalker. It was amazing. It was a stroke of genius.
Well, they de-aged him, did they?
They de-aged him, but they didn't do a great job. But that was before they hired that YouTube guy.
Yeah, does a much better job. Yeah.
So hopefully they'll have, a version of the Mandalorian on print where he does his updated.
Yeah, I should look at the Blu-ray actually and see if
it's
it's on there.
But anyway, we should move on. But essentially, we're saying then.
You agree with us in this then?
Yeah, I didn't really like the prequels much either. I mean, I understand where they were going, and if George Lucas had realised, because this was around the same time that Lord of the Rings was being done, and when George Lucas had seen Lord of the Rings, there was only episode 3 to go, wasn't it? So when you watch episode 3, it's so inspired by the Lord of the Rings. It's dark and but it's rushed, so that's the thing that annoyed me. Like Natalie Portman's character literally just pushes out 2 babies, or I'll call it Leia and Luke. Yeah. And that's done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wipe herself off. And
I remember that version.
But anyway, no. I mean, I didn't really agree with the prequels, and the sequels are just god awful, just terrible. Literally, they had no idea about the lore. And they didn't really care much from what I can tell. Anyway, so let's move on to Blade Runner. I guess we'll try to make this brief, because this is my favourite set of movies of all time. In this situation, you had Blade Runner 2049, which was made roughly about 40 years ago.
Yeah. Well, at the time the film came out, it was over 30 years. It was 2017, I think.
It was about 2017 it came out.
Yeah. So the original was 82. So
there's reasons why I love the sequel, and there's reasons why I hate the sequel. And in a nutshell, it's basically the sequel has no romance to it, like the first one had. It's just the original was that bluesy sort of 1930s gangster style, but set in a completely alien environment, and there was just this chivalrous romance to it, and I absolutely loved it. The prequel sort of goes in, the sequel, goes in the sort of the opposite direction, where it's very coarse, very dark, can't see much, and I love that style as well. So I guess that it's a fitting sequel from my point of view, because it's different. So you could argue all the romance of that world is gone, and it's some years later, because it's literally set the same amount of time that it took for them to do the sequel later in the story. So it's like, I don't know, 40, 50 years later.
Yeah, 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But they're taking the idea that Deckard was a replicant, and he was never supposed to be a replicant. I know that there's some footage somewhere of Ridley Scott saying, no, he's not a replicant, but since then he's changed his mind. And,
Yeah, I don't think they left it ambiguous enough for the film. They didn't underline it or anything to say he was.
no, they didn't, to be fair, but there's loads of fan pages and stuff that say, well, yeah, they acknowledge now. But no, I never agreed with that. Philip K. Dick, his novel, he was never a replicant.
No.
So.
I just think it's something they toyed with in the original film, and in the director's cut, he added that scene with the unicorn, didn't he? And
Yeah, a lot of people seem to think that that's a symbolism for Rachel's character.
yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, I remember we saw it when it came out, and we saw it in IMAX, and I remember you saying that you, because it was such a big thing for you, that, you think, I just hope they don't mess it up, and by and large, they didn't. Yeah,
No, they didn't.
You were quite happy with what we saw, from what I
Yeah.
remember.
Just upset that they went with Hans Zimmer as the scorer. I mean, I love Hans Zimmer, but he does too many scores, and I've heard that it's not always Hans Zimmer that's doing it. It's like a proxy.
He has ghostwriters. For
Yeah.
He does.
Which upset
I
me.
know that's a fact.
Yeah.
I've gone right off him because it's a copy and paste job now of all his sounds.
Yeah.
Go into sort of every movie now that comes out. So
You can hear a lot of
Yeah.
his trademark.
yeah,
But I just wish they brought in Vangelis and maybe, like, why not have two scorers? Have Vangelis for all the nice bits, and then
Surely they would have approached Vangelis.
probably.
maybe he didn't want to do it. I don't
Maybe.
know.
Yeah, it's
maybe.
entirely possible.
Maybe.
He didn't do that many films later in life, did he?
No. But he's a modern day genius, Vangelis.
Oh,
It's like he's what Mozart would have been if he was born in the electronic age.
yeah.
But I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I just think that the two films are great.
Yeah, it's just briefly, I just think it's I think it's a good, as a legacy sequel goes, I think it's good in the sense that yes, it brings back Ford in that world and everything, but it adds the Ryan Gosling story and takes themes from the first one and enhances them in the second one. Like, and I think the character that Jared Leto plays is really good. Like, he pushes it further than the original character of Tyrell, and just he's taken over from Tyrell, and he's and it asks the same fundamental question, because like, what makes you a human being, and what these replicants want to be is obviously have longer lifespans and live the same, make the same independent decisions that humans can make,
Yeah.
So I do like that. I like the fact that they address that, and that they like to there's a scene with when they bring Rachel back,
Mhm.
the Sean Young, and they have Sean Young appear as she looked 30 years ago, and and the technology was pretty
It's
decent.
really well
It was really
done
well
until it gets up close to the camera,
Yeah,
and you just start getting that
but I
uncanny
remember in
moment.
IMAX it looked pretty.
Yeah, it was really fucking impressive.
And it was a nice moment for the character moment as well. Because I thought that was one of the best performances Ford had given for a while. Because I know he's older and he just tends to. I know he's revisiting with Star Wars and Indiana Jones, but I thought he was really good in this as this character.
Oh, I think he made a proper effort as opposed
He really
to.
did. You could tell he was making an effort, and
He was.
I enjoyed it a lot. To be honest with you, I'm a fan of both. Obviously the first one's the best one, but I don't think this was a bad sequel per se. I think it was as a legacy sequel. I think what a good legacy sequel should do is take what you love and you see, yes, there's Ford and there's this world and there's this and that music, all that reference to something that happened before, and Gaff, like a little cameo from him, but then you add new things to it. So you're catering to two audiences, the original fans and the, someone who's gone into it, I haven't seen it, but can I enjoy it on its own merit, sort of thing. And
There's a lot of symbolism in the sequel as well, because you've got a character called Love.
yes,
Which is literally the personification of love itself, and she's a very angry person.
yeah,
And then you have the other character who is character?
Anna Dalmas.
Anna de Armas's character, who's
Yeah.
just literally,
Oh, she's always
I'll be
always
you
a
want me
pleasure to watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's
That's
until
superficial, but she's a great actress too.
yeah. But
She is.
Yeah.
but
She's
that's
good.
until the sort of the more or less the third act where she's been killed, but then our main character is walking across a bridge and he sees a hologram of her and she's got black eyes, and I thought that was the perfect symbolism because the eyes are the window to the soul and her eyes are black, and
she's been sold as this thing to whoever wants to buy that.
Yeah, and she's like,
companionship.
you're lonely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like, oh god, and shivers down my spine. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I liked things like that they just added to that also wasn't in the first film, and they added that to the sequel. I like that. They expanded the world. That was the other great thing. I thought that was really good.
They showed different angles of it, and the fact that it's actually a physical set, like a bigature. Just
I did
brilliant.
like it. You fan, Paul?
Yeah, as far as legacy sequels go, this is one that scored, I've got to tell you. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of the original. I know you absolutely love it. I like it. I've got it on Blu-ray, but I actually really like this. And I think they really, really handled it with care. And you have a director with Denis Villeneuve, who's probably one of the greatest visual directors in the world today. He's absolutely
very respectful.
Very respectful. He loves the original. It's in good hands with someone like him. If Ridley Scott says, "Look, I'm leaving it to Denis Villeneuve," you think, "Good, I'm looking forward to that," because he knows what he's doing. He's not of the conglomerates or anything like that. He does it for real. He's a real filmmaker, and I love everything about the visuals. I love the opening scene with Dave Bautista as well. It was a very gripping fight scene, and really it was on the edge of your seat for an opening sequence. It's
The opening sequence was supposed to be the opening sequence for the original.
Really?
Yeah. So
right.
they decided
Cooking on the pot.
the bobbling pot.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I didn't know that, but I just remember watching that in the cinema, thinking, "Blimey, this is hard hitting. It's gripping," and that was a very real gripping opening.
Yeah, and he said, "Well, you've never seen a miracle," and of course, Rachel giving birth to their daughter. It's a fucking miracle. It should never have happened.
Nice. Well, he said, didn't he? He said made Rachel special,
Yeah.
And that just could have mean anything.
Yeah.
And you had this thing. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, it's a great point. That opening.
Yeah, I just remember that opening scene. Yeah.
What Paul says, yeah.
Yeah.
As far as sequels go, it's a good one. It's a good one. It does pass.
Yeah.
It doesn't try anything new. Wholly. It just expands.
Yeah.
Expands on what we've seen before.
And that blaring noise when you're going through an establishing shot and it's flying through the city and stuff, and you've got that.
Yeah, there's noises.
It's just like, but it's meant to be there. It's meant to be like that. It's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So another thing is the technology hasn't advanced too much as well.
Yeah.
We've got flying cars, haven't we, in Blade Runner 82, and when it comes to Blade Runner, 2049, things haven't advanced too much, which is like technology today. We didn't have electric cars 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So the upgrades to the tech in this sequel is very minimal.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I was going to just say I like that it's also an alternate universe, because in the first one they got adverts for Pan Am and Atari and all these things, and this film still has adverts for all that. So it's like there's an alternate universe where all these things still exist, and
Dead companies.
yeah, they didn't try and update it by having Apple or something, and anything. They just used what they had before. It's probably cheaper that way because those companies don't exist, so you don't have to pay them royalties.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it was a great learning curve for me, having studied those two films, which my project is inspired by.
Yeah.
And then realizing that because I build these extravagant sets, I built about 50 sets, and I've had to scrap half of them because they're way too involved and too detailed. And I'm thinking, well, you have to claw it back a little bit because less is more. And if you look at Blade Runner, you can hardly fucking see anything. You go sort of like 1,000 meters out, and it's all just like foggy or raining, and you can't see anything. So
I think the original film they used fog and rain because he couldn't have the sets how he wanted, so it disguised a lot of things by one shooting at night, two having rain, and then some smoke, and then it hid a lot of things.
But that inadvertently became a genre, which
absolutely
cyberpunk, the origin of cyberpunk.
Painting.
Yes, awesome. It's a great set of films. If you haven't seen them, go and watch them. What the fuck are you doing? All right, so Jurassic Park. You want-
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Now, the first one was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, sure.
Still holds
Can't
up.
fault it.
It's a game changer, or they call it, don't they?
Yeah, the CG, right when it was, what was it, mid-90s?
93. 93.
CG, but with mixture of practical effects.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was in animatronics.
There's animatronic
Yeah,
T-Rex thing.
way in advance of anything else that had been done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one could believe it. You still had that feel. You couldn't believe what you were seeing. How mesmerising it was.
Great.
You came out the cinema there thinking, I can't believe what I just witnessed. It was just.
The first shot of the dinosaur where that Sam Neill sees it and he turns that bird's head.
Yeah.
No.
He's just like, oh
That's
my.
such a Spielberg moment as
I
well.
know,
isn't
it
it?
is.
Yeah.
It is.
And Richard Attenborough and all that.
But
Yeah.
what about the sequels?
For the
Yeah, well,
world.
this is the great. Yeah, so they did sequels to the original films, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they had Goldblum in one, and then they had Sandy on another, and then there's a big gap of years, and they bought Jurassic World, which is
It was 14 years.
Yeah.
But in between Jurassic Park and
Yeah.
3 and Jurassic World. Yeah. 14 years.
so they had these this Jurassic World. So it's set in the same universe, and there's a new theme park, but with all new characters, but with lots of references to
But set on Isla Nublar, the original island,
right.
it was as well. World was actually
Yeah.
set.
So it's that on that basis. So they did another. So they did 3 of the original films, and then they done 3 of these. And then the third one of the current Jurassic Worlds, they bring back the original Jurassic Park cast of Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and what else? There's someone else.
No.
The Asian guy, the scientist.
Oh, yeah, the biographer is Henry Wu.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, he's in World as well. He's actually in all 3 of them.
Oh, okay, right.
He's actually in all
Yeah,
3.
he's in all 3, yeah.
Yeah,
And he's
So-
obviously been portrayed as more of a antagonist now because he's creating not just dinosaurs, but he's actually hybriding them together.
Yeah, that's
Hybrids.
what got so stupid. This young girl that sort of the hybrid sort of is sort of she's a hybrid character, sort of part dinosaur, part human, and it just got more and more ridiculous. I think
Well, she's more of a clone. She was.
more of a clone. That's it. Yeah, and that's it. That happened in
And then-
Fallen Kingdom
Yeah,
and Dominion.
And then in Dominion, they kind of backtrack on that. When no, she's not actually. I'm thinking, well,
I know.
who wrote this?
I know who wrote this, and this is like it really sort of insults your intelligence. You watch
Yeah.
that third film. I came out of the cinema of Dominion, and I'm like, what have I just seen? It's a complete opposite reaction to seeing the original.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The seeing the original was the greatest reaction in the
Yeah.
world, and then the Dominion one, the last one, was the worst reaction.
Yeah, it's about fucking locusts in the end.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
God.
I mean, the original opening sequence to that film was the best part of it altogether. You've seen the original opening to Dominion.
The original
Opening.
opening
Where
sequence.
where
No.
it's set like 650 million years.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, that's really good.
That wasn't in the final
No,
the actual
it's-
presentation.
it's-
They showed it as a teaser,
it's
didn't
on
they?
the Blu-ray.
It's on the Blu-ray.
It's on the Blu-ray.
But they could have just kept that sort of 5-6 minute opening, and that would have been a brilliant film.
I went to the cinema thinking, wait a minute, where's the opening? Where's
Yeah,
the
I
story?
thought that as well when I saw the film. Yeah, where's that opening?
Yeah, it worked really well.
It did. I don't know why they cut that. These corporate minds again. It's
I
like
think
it's
yeah.
men in suits. So
That's
it's behind the
basically what
scenes.
it
isn't
comes to. This is a prime example
This
of
is it.
making a film by proxy. You have someone say, well, what we need is this, and what we need. People who aren't necessarily filmmakers,
No.
but they're all interested in box office and money.
Yeah.
And so they think, well, this is what we want, and this is what you're going to give us, sort of thing. So it's even though the law to the audience is to have, yes, look, we have Sam Neill, we have Laura Dern, and Joe Goldberg, and they just happen to be dressed and act like they did in the first film, like they get down to Goldblum's outfit and and Sam Neill in his hat and Laura Dern in her outfit. So it's like they're using that to entice the audience. And yes, it could have been great. It would have been a good crossover, like with with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, and have their characters interact. But it's kind of a missed opportunity in a little way, because there will be, there's some great action moments in it. But as you say, it's a film in parts you can enjoy, but not, as a whole, it's just a complete bloody mess. But this is a case of overselling the pot and just trying to people throw, let's have this and let's have this, and when you try and edit it all together, it's just like, well, none of it's going to fit. It doesn't make any sense. And it's you can see scenes were taken from like different edits, different drafts of a script, and just sort of thrown. So that's how it felt to me watching it. I don't know if you did.
It was just a mess.
They kind of,
Yeah.
they kind of lost me when they had the old gun and they were like targeting someone, and then the dinosaur went, okay, press a button, and the dinosaur looked at the target, thinking, what? Huh?
Yeah.
I quite actually like Jurassic World, the first film, which is nearly 10 years old. I think it came out in 2015. I actually think it's a very entertaining film.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So that probably is the second best one of the series. I think Chris Pratt's a good leading man.
Yeah.
Bryce is good. And actually, the story works well with that. Now it's like a modern day theme park, and they've actually sort of engineered it, in future technology.
Yeah.
And they've managed to design it a lot better than they could 30 years before.
Yeah.
So actually, it's actually a very entertaining film. Yeah.
Yeah. But the Dominion is
Yeah.
not.
I do agree.
They drop
You agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
The Indominus Rex is pretty terrible.
And you get a moment where they come across the old visiting centre.
Yeah.
When the
Yes.
the kids got beaten track again.
That's right, yeah.
Nostalgia comes
Yeah,
in.
so I thought, okay, that's a good little bit. And you see the old Jeeps and stuff.
See, that's the thing. It's something for the original fans.
But when you bring the older characters in, okay, granted, okay, they've got on a bit. We all age, as we do. But they're always perceived as sort of bumbling morons. Bumbling through the dark and, to quote Max, sorry. But that's how they're always perceived now.
Yeah.
But I understand when I say we do age. That's a way of life. But they're not perceived as strong characters anymore. They're perceived as, they're old. Just keep bumbling around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was very entertaining. I do like the first Jurassic World. Actually, I do like. I can easily watch that again.
Yeah.
I can easily sit down for a couple of hours.
It was its own thing.
Yeah, it was its own thing.
It had nods to the originals, but that was it.
Yeah, it was really good fun.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Tron versus Tron Legacy. So, shockingly, I didn't. I liked the original Tron. Don't get me wrong, because it was a unique thing, 90% CG movie. So and how they did it.
The original.
So rotoscoping almost, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But they had CG in it.
But it wasn't CGI.
For its time, it's 1982.
It's all painted in.
Yeah. CG did it.
They had computer graphics.
They were animated.
The matte paintings back then.
Yeah. Back paintings and the rotoscoping, and then they literally had to paint in.
Yeah, it's like a Roger Rabbit job almost.
That's how they did it. It took forever.
Yeah, real CG didn't come into it in 92.
CG was basically like the Cameron
1992.
with the Abyss and the Water Raiders.
Oh, even 89.
The real first CG was
Okay.
So
I got
10
my
years
info
later.
wrong.
Sorry.
But Tron Legacy, I absolutely adored. I love it. Absolutely love. I love the art style. I love the world. I want to go there. I want to stay there for a bit
Yeah.
and explore. I love the music, Daft Punk. Just
Daft
like
Punk, I know,
genius
yeah.
choice. to
Great soundtrack.
get those
Great
guys.
soundtracks. I love Daft Punk. I'm so with you on that. I
Yeah.
absolutely love Tron Legacy. I've got it in 3D, Blu-ray 3D, and it is one of the most stunning films to have in 3D. I love everything about Tron Legacy. I think it just blew the first one out of the water because no one really remembered the original, but this was so memorable and yet very necessary.
Yeah, but hopefully they'll still be doing another sequel to it. So.
They're doing it now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Is Jeff Bridges in it?
Yeah.
Jared Leto's in it, isn't he?
Oh, that should be good.
Jared Leto's apparently,
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think he's a villain.
See,
I think.
I've got time for that.
But from what I've heard, I think it's more set in like the real world than it is in the computer world.
Oh,
Like his computer program, he's escaped into the real world.
Yeah, but there still have elements of the.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. But that's only what I've heard. I could have heard wrong.
Yeah.
don't you dare.
I love
Disney.
the early de-aging technology on Jeff Bridges, how he looked in 1982 when they incorporated that into Tron Legacy. I loved how they did that and how they made him so villainous going against modern day Jeff Bridges as well.
Yeah.
I think that was amazing, and they were testing the de-aging technology out at the time, and it really worked.
2010.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's quite early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's probably one of the first films to.
definitely one of the first films for them to do with de-aging. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Marvel were doing it as well.
Yeah, Marvel were doing it. They did it with Tony Stark, I think, for the Iron Man, Captain America
Yeah,
Civil War.
they also did it for Guardians of the Galaxy with Kurt Russell.
That's right.
Michael Douglas. And
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, yeah, in Ant-Man, yeah, I think, was it? Yeah. Oh, one of the Avengers.
One of the Avengers films, yeah. He played in
But
Game.
it was. They were after this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all after, yeah. That's it. It was Tron Legacy that sort of like planted the seeds, I think, for them to do it all. Yeah. But I'm a huge fan of that film, and now that we were talking about it, I really want to go and watch it again. I love it.
So this is a thumbs up.
Oh, huge thumbs up! I really love Tron Legacy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think it gets enough praise, to be quite honest with you.
Doesn't.
And it does deserve more than it gets.
We mentioned it.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone else can take the Top Gun.
Yeah, well, I think Paul would be good by that R.
I don't like either of these films, so
Have you seen the
no, I don't wish to see either.
Well, Top Gun. I will say, if I start, Top Gun, the original, is one of those late '80s cheesy classics, which, yes, it made Tom Cruise a household name. And yeah, he pulled it off. Val Kilmer pulled it off. Tony Scott's direction, God rest his soul. Everything was very well executed on screen. But you watch it, it's so passé, and it's a very, very cheesy, as I said, cheesy script. And it's like the moments where you just cringe. But this one, Top Gun Maverick, just blows it out the water in every way. It's become one of his best films. So if you really, in terms of legacy sequels, it's probably the best, I think, legacy sequel I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think Paul might be absolutely right there.
But some of the shots, because Tom Cruise says, "Oh, it was just me in a jet with some cameras attached to it," and that's not technically true.
Yeah, but he did learn to fly.
No, of course, but like
in the first one, it's him in a studio.
they said, "Oh, there's no CGI involved," but that's a lie as well.
Well, no, there is some obviously some effects, because obviously the other actors didn't learn to fly the plane, and they were in the cockpit and all that.
Yeah,
They looked like they were flying, but by and large, it was Tom in the plane with the IMAX cameras in the thing that's him flying off the. No, give him his due, and I think a lot of the towards the end, the Star Wars Canyon Run, homage, that was pretty much done for real as well. So it's I think, just to underline Paul's point, why the second one was bad. I mean, it took elements of the first film, I think, which perhaps didn't quite work well, or didn't quite, because it's the first kind of film of that type, that sort of, he's quite gung ho and heroic, and America saves the day sort of thing, and to this they left it more ambiguous. You never saw they were fighting.
No,
it was all left, and didn't go there. It wasn't trying to be political. It was just trying to be good entertainment.
That's it.
And it wasn't trying to be, shoehorning, let's have this there. I mean, even having Goose's son as the rooster there, and then having all that, because I mean, Adam is the best person to see this with, in terms of the fact that he hadn't seen the first one, but you didn't have to, because they gave you everything you needed to know in this. Little flashbacks to the first one. You saw who Rooster was and who his dad was. It's all there on the screen, and it's all explained. You don't know who Val Kilmer is, from the first one, and it was just perfectly. I don't know. It just seemed to work well. I can't fault it in that sense. It took what was bad about the first one and just got rid of it and just left all the good stuff in. And
the score.
Yeah,
The songs in the score.
well, but that's the other great thing about these legacy sequels is if the film has a great soundtrack in the first one, you open the film up with that, and instantly your audience has got you. And they did it pretty much shot for shot of the opening film from the first one. They did in this one, and I went with some guys from work, and they one of them was a massive Top Gun fan. As soon as he heard that opening Harold Faltermeyer score, and those chimes kick in, he was just like, I'm in, I don't care, because they're playing to your nostalgia of your love of the film. And even Leanne as well, she saw it, and she just said, as soon as I heard that, I'm in, and she saw it, loved it, went back the next night with her, took her kids to see it, and said, look, I have to watch this, and we're like, all right. And she was just, it's perfect for, if you love the film, and they happen to make a really good follow-up, and it's even better than the first one, then, it's lightning in a bottle in a sense, But I think he's a bit more canny than that, Tom Cruise, because obviously he didn't want to rush doing a sequel. I know he churns out a lot of Mission Impossible films, and they're, mixed bags to some fans. There's some good ones, there's some not so good ones, but he really wanted to do this one properly. Yeah. And I think he just found the right tone and the right balance, and I think it's a terrific example of a good legacy sequel.
Yes. Alan?
No, I agree. I've not seen the original one.
Yeah.
I never found time for it. I didn't really care to see it. But Mark says, he sold me on the end.
Yeah, I told him he's a bit like
Star Wars, the death Star Trek run, and I thought,
oh,
oh,
when it was in IMAX, and I
give
give
that a shot.
shot in IMAX, you might like it. Give it a chance.
Yeah, I have a double bill that day.
Yeah. What else did we see?
Elvis.
That's it. Yeah, it's a great double
Yeah,
bill.
great double bill. But no, but I recognise the music. From the beginning.
Yeah. So even if you hadn't
I
seen
heard
it,
that before,
you knew it.
and I thought, okay, well, yeah, good start, and they didn't really. There was no filler in the film.
No, that's right.
There was no fat on it. It just really got to the point.
Yeah.
I knew who Tom Cruise was. I didn't know his character name, obviously, because I hadn't seen the original one, but I knew Tom Cruise was there, and he's basically brought in to school these rookies,
The next gen,
the next gen of pilots to, we need to go on this crucial mission and whatnot. And I thought, you know what? This is good. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's old-fashioned entertainment.
It is.
There's no shame in it.
I also love him or hate him, Cruise. He's such an intelligent man, so he wouldn't have done this if he didn't think it was a good idea. He's not like when you all have all those other studio heads and all the marketing team and managements and agents, they just will cash in on any sequel and make it so shit. With him, he wouldn't do a second Top Gun if he didn't think it was a good idea.
Yeah.
So he went away for a long time and he got the right team and chose the right direction. Now that Tony Scott, as I said, is no longer with us, sadly. And he thought about how to make it a perfect and beautiful continuation, and he did it so brilliantly.
Yeah. What I am worried about, though, they talk about doing another one. And
well, he wouldn't. Once again, I trusted him because he won't do it if it's not a good idea.
I suppose.
He's intelligent.
I'm not. Yeah. He's first and foremost for the audience. He makes films for an audience. Not just for the money.
Plus, he came out at the tail end of the pandemic as well. He puts people back in the cinema.
He was very canny. He didn't. When Tenet come out and it was a very risky time to go to the cinema.
Yeah.
And he said, "No, we'll sit on it. Wait till all the restrictions are lifted."
Yes.
And
Yes.
And as they say, he saved cinema in that sense.
He really did.
It made $1 billion. It made way more money than
It's his
that.
highest grossing film of all time.
Yeah.
His highest grossing film ever. Yeah. So it got so many people coming to the cinema again to watch that, and because of all the nostalgia, and so many people I know who don't really go to cinema anymore went and loved it.
Yeah.
So many people want to.
Yeah, but he's a Scientologist.
Yeah.
Personal.
He's a maniacal nut job.
Yeah.
He'd be very creepy. If you met him, I'm sure he'd be quite charming, but very creepy. I wouldn't want to meet him.
Usually these films, I try and separate the person from the.
Yeah, me too. I always try and do that.
Kind of hard to catch a Spacey film, so I think.
We'll get to Spacey at a later date.
All right, moving on. Do you want to talk about this Shining?
The Shining? The
Shining.
Shining? Oh, and Doctor Sleep. Well, just briefly.
You've seen Doctor Sleep, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, so have you seen it? No, just
It's all to very quickly, because I haven't read either books. So just previous films. The Doctor Sleep, I think, it's a good enough sequel to The Shining, but without having to rely on. Yes, of course. Well, yeah, it does rely on the original heavily. What I did like about it was it did its own thing, in the sense of Ewan McGregor playing Danny growing up, and he's still got this power, but he's managed to lock it away and live a life for the last 30 years or so. But there's other darker supernatural, because he can communicate with the dead and everything. And there's a very dark story within that. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for you, because I think out of all of us, you probably like it the most.
Okay.
And Alan, because of the horror elements. I mean, there are some horrific things in it. And probably there's one in particular which I don't want to spoil, but I don't wish to see it again. It's still embedded in my brain. But it's but just to wrap it up quickly, he does go back to the hotel in the second half of the film, and very cleverly, because they won't be able to do it in the book because the hotel burned down. Because in the original film he didn't burn down, so he goes back and so it's all old and dusty, and it's like a massive ghost house. And the ghost of the original film is still there, including Jack Nicholson's character, who's played by Elliot from E.T., Henry
Thomas.
Thomas, yeah. Very convincingly in kind of Jack Nicholson makeup. Not using CGI, not using things, but he just captures Nicholson's enough to do, and how Nicholson's character's behind the bar, like the bartender, Lloyd, the bartender, and it's like Jackson L. Seven Bar, and he's sitting, and so they're able to CGI in the real backdrop. They didn't have to build the whole set, so it looks like he's actually in the grand ballroom and everything. And it's a nice little wrap up of the literally Danny putting his demons to bed, and living his life again, sort of thing. It's I don't want to spoil it too much because it's. I just really enjoyed it. I just saw it on, just happened to be on TV, and I watched it.
I fell in love with the original one. I never really liked it that much, and I think it was in recent years where I watched it again. And I was just like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, I think
It's my favourite Kubrick film.
And it's the best one. Yeah, I never liked any of Kubrick films. I just felt like they were so uncomfortable. Clockwork Orange, very uncomfortable. Eyes Wide Shut, very uncomfortable. But this one was just perfect, and you can sort of talk about it until the cows come home in terms of what it symbolises and stuff like that. The camera angles, it's just a masterpiece of filmmaking.
It's incredible.
I think you could say about. I think you said that about all of Kubrick's stuff. He didn't make that many films, but you can watch them, feel about them one way, and revisit them a few years later and feel something completely different. So I think what he puts into a film is like the equivalent of 10 films in one.
Oh yeah.
You put so much into it, you can get something different from it on a rewatch. And I think with The Shining, you get that.
Because there's always an element of ambiguity.
Yeah,
I was just about to say,
yeah.
It's another ambiguous.
He never underlines anything in his films. It's always left open to interpretation.
Yeah, of course.
And
that's it. And
you get that with all, from 2001 onwards to, Doctor Strangelove even. It's all, there's all those elements there, and you get something different from it. And they always, because they're so highly stylized as well, that they don't age. I think they don't. You don't feel like you. It's like it's quite an old-fashioned film that wouldn't work now. I think because he's got such a very specific detail that no one else kind of really has. It's
timeless.
It's timeless, yeah. And I think that's why they endure now a lot of his films.
It is.
You can see what Christopher Nolan is right now.
Oh yeah.
He does borrow a lot from him, and why not? He got borrow from the who you might best,
Yeah, but through time, it's become my absolute favourite of Kubrick. Is it yours as well? Yeah. Well, many film fans actually probably will go The Shining as his best.
Well, I think you guys should check out Doctor
At some point,
I might
do.
When I'm bored enough.
Just out of curiosity, because it's. I was going to say some of it's I found really tough to watch, but that's just the horror elements. But it was so realistic. I just thought, why am I subjecting myself to this? But it was already part of the story, It's very Stephen King feeling.
Yeah.
It was a Doctor Sleep book, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So
I'm still trying to work my way through The Shining. I've got an audiobook, but I might actually buy the physical book instead, because
I know the books are obviously not different from
I keep falling asleep.
It's probably not one to fall asleep to.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So yeah,
moving on.
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah. So we got Halloween '78. Then we get 2018.
It might take an hour to go through every Halloween.
We've got to different podcast.
Yeah,
I'll do a different podcast.
Yeah.
So this one basically takes Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie Strode, 40 years later, who's living as a recluse. It disavows Halloween 2 onwards. So Halloween 2 in the hospital does not exist.
It doesn't exist.
It is timeline. Halloween H20 gone, Resurrection gone.
So it's a straight.
It's basically Halloween '78, Halloween 2018.
Right.
And it's should we jump 40 years?
4 years.
And I quite liked it. I think it was really well made.
You're quite a big fan.
Yeah. This was I can't remember the director's name now.
David Gordon.
That's the one. That's David Gordon Green, who ruined The Exorcist recently.
Same guy.
Yeah, same guy. A lot of people say he ruined Halloween because no one was a fan of ends. But
yes, it's good to point out that there's 3 of these films.
there are 3. He made a trilogy. He made Halloween 2018. He made Halloween Kills in 2021, and then Halloween Ends in 2022.
Right.
Which rounded up the trilogy. But this one in particular, okay, it's 40 years later. The only returning character from the original is Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. And as I say, she's living as a recluse. She's got a family now. She's still haunted by the spectre of Michael Myers, who's now, despite the ending of Halloween 78, where he's shot by Donald Pleasance 6 times, as he says, and he goes over the balcony, looks down, he's gone. What's happened is Michael was picked up around the corner. He's got away and he's picked up around the corner and then is incarcerated in Smith's Grove Sanitarium.
Right.
And it's on Halloween 2018. That night he escapes. He's aided in escaping, I should point out. He can't get out because he's pretty much mute. He can talk, apparently, but he doesn't talk. So his new doctor says.
Is this Malcolm McDowell?
No. That's the Rob Zombie films.
Oh, excuse me.
Again,
a remake started in 2006, 2007.
Yeah. Again, they don't exist.
Right, sorry.
They're completely gone. But I enjoyed this film. I thought, when the film's coming out, I thought, how are they going to get around this fact? I mean, he was shot 6 times and he's disappeared. I didn't know how. You see the trailer of him in the sanitarium with his back turned. Played by
the trailer, yeah.
Although I should say, Jesus Christ, what's his name? Nick Castle does appear as Michael Myers for one shot in this film.
Oh, he's the original actor.
He's one of the 3 people who played Michael in the first 78 film.
Right.
I think, Nick Castle. Tony Moran, I think it was. I think he played unmasked Michael at the very end. And obviously you have the young boy who played him aged 6, 7, something like that. But yeah, Nick Castle plays him for one shot. It's when Laurie Strode looks up at the house and she looks at Michael's reflector. She sees Michael in the window. She pulls a gun out, fires, and only she hits a mirror.
Oh, I see.
So he's obviously not there. One of the original 3 actors obviously is 6-year-old Michael Myers. But I say one of the best things I find about this one is you've got John Carpenter back doing the score with his son Cody Carpenter, and it's a great mix of the old John Carpenter sound with a new sort of sound. He doesn't tinkle too much with the original Halloween thing. You get that in the subsequent sequels, Kills and Ends, and the violence is amped up a lot more. There's a great sequence in the film where Michael's finally out. He's retrieved his mask, which was provided to him by some people visiting him in the sanitarium, and it's all aged up. I've seen what the original mask looks like now. It's obviously not that. It's
William Shatner, right?
probably fucked up the mask is now, because I say it's 40 years old. It's been in Dick Warlock's attic, I think. I think
Dick Warlock.
Dick Warlock. He played Michael Myers in Halloween 2, by the way, folks. And
I know that.
yeah, he's done a lot of good stuff.
So you say this is a good legacy?
I think it's a good legacy film.
Because as you mentioned, they take things like the theme,
Yeah.
do a new version of it,
Yeah.
and little nods
Yeah.
to the original.
And when you get to Halloween Kills in 2021, they bring Charles Cyphers back, who played Sheriff Lee Brackett
Right.
from the original Halloween film. He's now like head of security in the hospital, the town hospital.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't like that one. I don't know why. It's called Halloween Kills for a reason. He kills about 18 people or something in one film.
Is it set over the same
It's set over the same night. Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills are set over the same night. There's a 3 or 4 year jump between Kills and Ends.
Okay.
And people didn't like that because Michael's not in it for much. But you can't have the same film again because we've had that with Kills. You can only do so many things with Michael Myers going around killing people,
Yeah.
but they changed it up. And then people were bitching about it, thinking, well, you're not in it that much.
What do you want?
Exactly, we've had it before. We had it in the first film, we've had it in the film before that, and the film before that, and the film before
What
that.
would you say is like it's a legacy sequel? People want the same thing again, or they want to revisit. Let's say you've got the same actors back. You've got
People are fickle, I think.
Yeah.
People are fickle. I know the little girl Lindsay in the first film.
Yeah.
She's actually in Kills as well, and she's in Ants.
Right.
So she's all grown up, and that's the same actress who played Lindsay. Lindsay! But yeah, people are fickle. You get people that say, "Oh, we've seen this before. He's just doing the same stuff," and change it up. And then you change it up. Oh no, you changed it too much.
Yeah.
I mean,
You fucking go and...
well, yeah, exactly. You get yourself a crew, you get yourself some actors, you get a camera, you go and do it.
So it's a bit like what we discussed earlier. Like, so say with Blade Runner and Top Gun, you get enough of the old feel of the original film with actors and nods and references and things, but you have to have a certain amount of new material to balance it. There's a have to, of
course,
balance it, and but I think it's quite ambitious doing it with 3 films.
Yeah, I think that they signed up for it because the original producer, Mustafa Aked, who sadly passed away in a horrific circumstances.
Oh, right.
He was very protective of the Michael Myers character. He said, "We can't." He says, "You're not killing him off, and no matter what."
Yeah.
When he was killed off in Halloween X20, he immediately had something shot that week to resurrect him for the next film.
Right.
Because he said, "You're not killing him off.
Yeah.
He's dead for like a couple of years, and now he's going to be back again. And this is because I filmed something." He was very protective, and I think his son's taken over the rights now, and he let David Gordon Green and I can't remember the other guy's name now, it's a comedian. But yeah, they basically presented this new film. Whether they presented the trilogy, I don't know, but they presented the new 2018 film. And potentially, the Kills and Ends were meant to be shot at the same time, but because of the pandemic and all that, they had to break it up and change a few aspects. But
so it's a thumbs up.
yeah, I'd give it a thumbs up. You know,
I haven't seen them.
there's people out there probably thinking, "Oh, a load of shit."
Yeah.
But
Have you seen them?
I saw the first one, Halloween, 40 years.
Yeah, 2018. Yeah.
Later, the 2018 one. Yeah, I saw the first one and didn't want to see the other two. For me, yeah, I get it was actually well made. It felt very nostalgic, but to me, it's just 1, 2, and H2O. To me, is the best 3 Halloween films.
Oh,
The
right.
original.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I do like.
I love 2 and I love H2O. It's a great trilogy, and because it's all about the traumatized Laurie Strode.
Yep.
From beginning to the very end, where she does decapitate him, but it works very well. She has that closure, and she has that moment with him, where it's just very emotional for like 30 seconds to a minute, but she has to kill him. He can't live. And it's just very, to me, it's the perfect ending. That's the trilogy. For me, I'll always go with 1, 2, and H2O.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I haven't seen them, so
I find 2 a bit of a comedy, but I'll mention more of that in there.
No, I haven't seen them. I think I've seen the first one, just for nostalgic, and I haven't seen that kind of thing before. And it's also to allay some fears as well, because I remember when the Museum of the Moving Image was there in London and stuff, and going in, and there's this one bit where you get to look through, and there's this really horrifying kill scene, and I don't know what it was from. It was from one of these slash films. So I felt like I needed to watch it. It's the same with Hellraiser. I needed to watch Hellraiser to just destroy my childhood fear of all that. Terrified.
I've never had acupuncture since.
Yeah.
I do that with a fly, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's good to face your fears, and if something that scared you as a child to revisit it. As
I think it's really important to.
I think it's good. Like your secret name thing.
Yeah, it's still. I don't think I'll ever watch that again. That lady Popcorn in Bed.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great channel. She did one for Secret Name, and I can't watch it.
You can't watch it.
No, it's too close. That film. So you've got the Scream OG, and then Scream 2022, which was number 7.
It's 5.
5. I don't remember which one I've seen, but what I do know is that the original was really good, and with these subsequent ones, it's just got more and more silly.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really like Scream 2. No, 98. I didn't mind Scream 3. Because that changed the game a little, because there was only one killer in number 3. Whereas Scream 1, Scream 2 had 2 killers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a helper, and then generally
Scream 4, I don't really remember.
Scream 4 was sort of like they were doing it all on the internet, live. They were making they were documenting a live sort of massacre on the internet.
So it was like Halloween Resurrection for the Scream series, right? Okay. With Scream 5, or Scream as it's called, is Scream 2022. It's classified as a legacy because they bring back Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott, Courtney Cox, Gail Weathers, and obviously David Arquette is obviously doing. But obviously he's more of a freelance kind of pop, if you like, in this one.
Yeah, that one wasn't very good, and I think there was one after it with a new set.
They did a Scream 6, which was set in New York,
Yeah.
which is okay, but towards the end, when the killer is revealed, killers even, I just didn't buy it.
Yeah.
And I thought, you're really stretching now for like
Yeah.
identities for these killers now. I mean,
And motives.
they bring back Skeet Ulrich again for the 5th one and then the 6th one, but he's more of a vision because he's kind of like...
Did he die in the first one?
He died in the first one. And somehow he's fathered a child and she's grown up.
Oh.
No, I don't know. I don't know how they got again, suspension of disbelief, but I don't know how they kind of got around that. I find problems with this.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were all pretty much crap.
I only saw the first one, so I can't comment on the Legacy sequel.
Yeah,
You're saying it's not a particularly good one.
It's not a particularly good one. I mean, Halloween over Scream, sorry. That's what I think.
Right.
Independence Day and Independence Day Resurgence. Oh my god. Okay, so the first one is legendary in its own right. The second one is fucking unbelievable. Just so unbelievable. Like, you thought you got all the ships, right? You thought you got all the ships. Oh no, but you missed one.
Just to clarify, unbelievable in a bad way.
Yeah. Is it unbelievable
Yes.
about?
Good.
Yes.
Pause about this.
I'm about to grab my valuables there and hike it out.
See what it was
fucking out of my head.
Unbelievable.
No,
That's what I was worried about.
it's so fucking bad.
They're gonna wind up.
I couldn't believe it, and I think I got about like half hour in, and I was just like, "No, I'm done." I just
Right.
switched it off.
Nearly give us a heart attack over here.
Yeah.
We saw some Waterloo, didn't we?
Yeah, it was sort of nice.
Yeah,
No.
So the plot was just wow.
Was
I
it
can't
so?
believe you did that.
Stick thin.
So it's like
Yeah.
20 years?
20 years.
20 years after the original.
Yeah.
Will Smith has died apparently.
Yeah, his character's died. In reality, he went off to do Suicide Squad.
And his son took over or something.
Mankind's rebuilt Earth because obviously the aliens destroyed every major city around the world,
Right.
which I thought was that's the best part of the first film. And then they're just destroying everything. Brilliant, amazing.
Yeah.
For me, Independence Day OG is a guilty pleasure for me.
Yeah, no,
It's not a great film. Script-wise, it's not a great film.
It's great.
But it's so cheesy, and I love it. I love Judd Hirsch in it.
Yeah.
I love him in that. He's great. I love him. He's so down to earth. He's such he's like the almost like the common man almost. And he's like oh my god, I'm on Air Force One. I'm in Area 51. Oh my god, yeah.
And also the caring dad.
But he's a caring dad as well. And for me,
He loves you still, I think.
yeah, exactly.
Fucking there.
The words of wisdom. He's like the voice of reason in the whole film.
Yeah.
This is what I love about him as Kay's character.
I'm not
Yeah.
Jewish, but I know he's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's the way he delivers it as
Yeah.
well, Judd Hirsch.
Yeah.
As a classic Jewish actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has that sense of humour.
Yeah, that sense of humour. I know. Everyone fell in love with it when it came out. The whole world loved it. It was a very communal film, and the message was great. Thinking if that was ever to sort of, God forbid, happen, the whole world would finally unite. Exactly. Put everything
You'd like to
aside.
think so, wouldn't you?
Well, you'd like to think so, and fight the enemy. The second one, I went to see it in the cinema with my long-time friend Mark. We both looked at each other after 45 minutes like this. And that said it all. That said it all. We were in the dark. We could see each other.
Yeah.
He looked at me. I looked at him, and it was.
This is me.
That was it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Let's go to the pub then.
I mean, it's like Roland forgot what the first one was about almost.
Yeah.
So this all turns up, isn't it? It all turns up. Mankind have set up a base on the moon or Mars or somewhere, and they're attacking this thing. Realise it's an alien, quick destroy it.
The alien technology, aren't they?
Yeah.
But which was again a bit different. I suppose.
Yeah.
That's all I really remember of it.
No, but it was the fact that they forgot to destroy one of the ships.
Oh no, the ship was another part of the galaxy, and it's taken 20 years to get from where it was to where it needs to be, and this is the Queen ship.
And I thought there was one on Earth that they forgot to take
Oh
out.
no, all the ships are all down. They're all been destroyed, but apparently one of them's still powered up.
No,
No, yeah, that was the bit I
God, that's
didn't
not
really-
It's not repressed memories for me. Oh, God.
Anyway, don't bother. The
Yeah.
original is the
I'll
best
put that
one.
in the crap legacy part.
we spent too much time talking about it. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
And rest in peace, Robert Loggia. This is his final appearance on screen.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, rest in peace, Robert Loggia.
Yeah, another actor whose last appearance on the movie.
Yeah.
Crap.
What a horrible way to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great to choose you.
So Train Spotting. Now I haven't seen the sequel to
No,
this.
neither have I. Have you?
Yeah.
The original is pretty horrifying. I've
It
seen it once,
really
and that's
is.
enough for me.
Yeah, once I couldn't see it again. I saw it once. It was too disturbing for me. That
Yeah, no, I think it was the dead
It's
baby in
the
the
cop
crib.
death. Yeah. The
I was
baby.
like, no,
That's
we're
it. That was it. It was that was
Yeah,
too
yeah,
much.
yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
couldn't see him.
I'm a big fan of the original, but you know, I know obviously they're quite tough. It's a tough subject, but it's also done in a sort of hyper, you know, not quite realistic, but hyper realistic thing. It's not. There's a lot of style that Danny Boyle brings to the low life, just the part of the story, but at the same time, it's got bags of style and swag, and it was quite revolutionary when it came out because when that first film came out, the advertising budget I think was just as big as the actual filming budget, which wasn't very big. It was like a few £1 million.
Yeah, well,
They spent at least £1.5 million on advertising at least, and because the advertising for it was massive, it was bigger than the film. And when we was all four of us were at college, you could see a bus stop or a video shop or whatever without seeing that poster. It's quite an iconic image, and even some fellow students, Ellie, she had the poster with all the 5 people on the poster and everything. So it's quite a striking image. It was definitely, and the music as well, because our teachers, Lisa, one of our teachers, she used to do dance lessons, and she used that soundtrack. She'd go through that iconic soundtrack and find
Don't remind me.
that Pete was always amazingly good at.
They should always give me the tough acting jobs. I'll pretend you're taking a dump on the toilet. Why me?
But did it so well.
It was an amazing film. It was a good film.
Yeah,
And
it's one of those great films that, because given the subject matter, you could probably only watch once. A bit like me, Requiem for a Dream. Brilliant film, but very tough to watch because of the subject matter.
It's one of those films that needs to be part of the national curriculum.
Yeah.
Like in the last year, kids need to be sat down and watch that.
It's a great anti-drugs film.
Well, that's where it's going to take you.
Yeah.
If you take drugs.
But just to not to dwell on, because I know you guys haven't seen it, but Alan and I saw it, and I think as far as the sequel goes, it's not a sequel necessarily to the book. They did write a book, the sequel to Trainspotting. It's called Porno, and it's about one of the characters, sick boy, making porn, and that's a new sort of way to make money rather than the drugs. And then having all the other characters, and they were going to do it like that, but in getting the actors back together, because also I think McGregor and Danny Boyle fell out for quite a number of years.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, after they did Trainspotting and this film called A Life Less Ordinary, and they were going to do The Beach. That was the next big film, and in the book of The Beach, the main character is a British backpacker around Ewan McGregor's age and description, and they were going to do that, but the studio, I think it was Fox, and they said, no, we want a bigger name. We don't think you, because at that time Ewan McGregor had only done those 2 films, it's to an American audience at least, and basically just DiCaprio, who was like off of Titanic, and so Danny Boyle, rather than say, well, forget it, he used just this chance to do something big in America, and Ewan McGregor and him fell out over it, and they didn't talk for 15 years or something. Eventually they patched differences up and realised, they should have got back together sooner. And
there was a good move getting Leo DiCaprio into The Beach.
Yeah, I mean, commercially it worked, but I think the book was so massive. It was such a terrific book. When you read it, you see McGregor, the description and everything, and he's English. But no, it's a film. I do like The Beach as a film. I mean, it's Danny Boyle, and he's got such a great style of his own. There's no one that can replicate him. He's got such a visual that watching one of his films, it's him. And I think, but with the sequel, I enjoyed it. It's a sequel to the original film rather than the sequel to the book that they did. They just did their own thing in a sense, whilst kind of remaining true to the characters. You got the 4 main characters, and then Robert Carlyle's terrific as the psychotic baby.
Who the fuck are you?
Hey, and Johnny Lee Miller and Ewan Bremner are back, and it's kind of like they're not going to go anywhere. These characters are going to stay where they are. They're not got no real ambition, so it makes sense that they haven't moved on at all. The only one who's moved on is McGregor. So he returns after 20 years of living abroad to go home, and you know, I liked it for what it was. He wasn't trying to be anything grandiose. It was keeping true to the characters. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like still the same hyper realism to it, and there's loads of little nods and things and flashbacks because of the drug elements in it. They have trips and things where you see people from the past film in visions and things. It's very artfully done. Me personally, I liked it. I don't know about Alan.
Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. Well, I don't know what I was actually expecting.
This is the thing. I didn't know what to expect, but I was satisfied with what it was. I mean, it didn't obviously top the original.
No, the original was still.
I didn't watch it and go, well, they shouldn't have bothered. Yeah, it was entertaining.
Yeah, it was good for what it was.
It was.
It wasn't good. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I refused to see it because the first one it was a heavy subject.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean,
not that it was a bad film. It was good, but it was so
It's a tough
heavy.
watch,
It's
yeah.
a tough watch. That's why I didn't want to see the sequel.
yeah.
Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
This is a classic example of how not to do a legacy sequel, I think.
We'll make this one quick.
The original trilogy, absolutely sublime.
Yeah, I can always agree with
Let's
it.
all praise one,
Products of
two,
their time.
and three. Yes.
Brilliant.
Happy to talk about those three films all
I mean,
day long.
where we go with this, we go from like
Right.
Crystal Skull to the Dial of Destiny. I mean, if we start off with Crystal Skull, I mean, it's all fair to say it's obviously not in the patch with the original three, but with this new film, I don't. You haven't seen it, have you?
No,
Can you
thank
go?
God.
No.
No, okay.
And no, you can't survive a nuke in the fridge.
Yeah, but you say about a lot of the things he survives.
No, I know, but that's the top point. That's where we start right there. You can't survive a nuke in the fridge.
No.
No.
It was dire Crystal Skull because it was written by different people, and when the main villain came on the scene, I thought she was just a subordinate to the main villain. Who I thought we were going to see at some point, but never appeared. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's just like that whole sequence with the fucking chase in the jungle and
The monkeys.
what's his name being Tarzan. Yeah, it's just like, nah, mate, no. And then I've heard stories about Dial of Destiny, and it's apparently the first bit where it's like all back in time with the
the opening 25 minutes is classic indie. It's like him at the end of the Second World War, and he's escaping from the Nazis and finding the first part of this Dial of Destiny, and they de-aged him quite well enough. I mean, you mentioned earlier about the YouTube guy doing the de-aging for Star Wars, and they got him on board to de-age Ford.
Yeah.
And rather than digitally de-age him, they got all the original footage from the original films and films of that period, and so they matched his face to
the particular shot.
To the particular shot, and it, like with this computer software they got, so whatever angle he looks like how he did 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, it's like 4 or 5 million shots.
There's quite a lot of shots, and because it's still set at night, it masks it in light and shadows, and it works more or less. There's a couple of bits where it doesn't work, but for which it's probably the best.
It's the best part of the whole film.
It's the best bit of the film, of course.
Definitely.
And then it goes all woke.
Yeah, I don't want to go into it, but he doesn't. He basically undid everything he did in the last film, the King Crystal Skull, kind of wrapped everything up. And what it is, they unthreaded it all in this one, and think, well, let's just unravel it a bit and then wrap it up again. So it's just like,
That's what they keep doing. That's what they keep doing.
It was, and I think it's a case of they probably did have a good script, but I know Spielberg was going to do it pre-COVID. He had a script. He was coming to Yell Street to do it and everything. He was going to do it, and then COVID happened. And then during that period, he thought, actually, forget it. I'm not going to do it. And they rewrote the script. So I don't know what was in that script. But he obviously didn't like the direction this new one took, and that's why they gave it to James Mangold, who he's a good director. He's made some great films. 4B Ferrari and 310 of Yuma and Copland. He's a accomplished director, but how much control he had over the film, I don't know. But the script was just all over the place, and it's a shame. The only one who's really putting in the effort again is Ford, because he's an 80-year-old man playing a 70-year-old man in the timeline of the film. He still looks good, but I just think he just ran out of gas.
But now we've got a game
Oh yes,
Coming out into the year.
with a brand new story.
Yeah.
I'm personally dubious about it. I do like to rip the shit. Me and Nick do like to rip the shit out of it. We don't think it's going to be very good, but I mean, what do you think?
It works on Game Pass, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a try.
when's it out?
later this year.
Like, yeah, this year.
Play the games? I don't.
What we need to say. All right, moving
We'll
on.
move on.
James Bond. Now there's a bit of a clash going on here.
It's like two magnets pushed together. It's like when one goes together, there's a force. But I think we should clarify for the discussion. It's Bond from the Connery years through to the Brosnan years, and then a separate one for the Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig's, yeah.
That's in terms of legacies.
So laying out the original James Bond movies are, in their own right, superb. I mean, we'll always have our own likes and dislikes
Yeah, that's
for
what's
each of the
great.
movies.
The good ones and not so good ones, but they're still enjoyable.
Moonraker's the biggest load of shite ever, but for me,
It's still so entertaining.
Yeah.
it's entertaining. Yeah, it is. But I just can't
No,
stop
but
laughing.
Pete's right. We've all got our own favourites.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
That's
live and
what's
let
great about them.
Yeah.
live and let die, live in daylights,
License to Kill.
License to
License
Kill,
to Kill is my second favourite after Goldfinger, definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
Brown Finger. Yeah,
Goldfinger probably the best because I think it is Bond's.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah. No, you're thinking about the Golden Gun.
Oh, sorry.
Goldfinger made it the formula that it is, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and Connery just gives
Yeah.
the best performance. It is phenomenal in every way. It's got everything. It's
I do have a bit of a partial spot for
Yeah.
Doctor No as well because
Yeah,
of the
Yeah,
energy.
it looks to know.
yeah.
And I do like GoldenEye.
Pierce is our Bond. He
But
was our Bond. He came along and redefined it in the 90s. He did it so beautifully. Even though it's exaggerated action, it works.
that's the only Pierce Brosnan one I like.
It's his best one, probably. I think GoldenEye. Yeah.
I think his last one they tried to make an effort and they had the first.
Too much CGI.
Yeah.
It's
Bond had a stake.
The invisible card killed it for me.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm done.
We mentioned it on
stupidly entertaining.
we talked about it on a previous podcast, that separate Bond
We did a
podcast. And I
Bond,
think what they were good at, Bond, is with Doctor No, they set a new trend. And then what happened was, as the films sort of developed around them, they kept up with what other films were doing and they try and do their own versions of it or make it better. And for instance, like when time we got to Live and Let Die, it was some of the blaxploitation films, and then Golden Gun, it was kung fu movies, and
It's always mirroring the style.
Star
Wars
Wars.
and
Spy Luffy was like Jaws, wasn't it?
yeah, because
They had Jaws, yeah, the villain, yeah.
and Octopus, he had Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, yeah.
And License to Kill had the kind of Arnie Schwarzenegger type violent films of the
Action.
action.
He's around DEA and drugs and stuff.
And I think to a point that they captured the flavour, whatever the flavour of the month was. The great thing about the Bonds, all of the Bonds, is they're always the products of their time.
Yeah.
So some films date more than others, but the original films pre-Craig at least were weren't trying to say anything about the world. They were just pure entertainment. And I think by the time Brothers' era comes to an end and they went to Daniel Craig and they finally got the rights to the very first Flaming Book, which was Casino Royale. And they thought, well, let's try and do something a bit different. Now we've got the rights, we'll go back to the start, reset the timeline, have a new actor who was a controversial choice. I
Yeah.
remember the press were very
The fact that he was blonde.
and he didn't fit the necessary, good looking, like Brendan Brosnan, he didn't look like, he looked more like a bricklayer type, yeah. But it's, when that film come out, particularly the first film, cinema, he did prove a lot of the naysayers wrong. People who didn't even like my dad, he's not a Bond fan at all, but he said it's actually, a decent film. This is how they should be, sort of thing. And he did kind of silence a lot of people, and it did. I think all of us agree, at least in this part of the conversation, that the Casino Royale was a very good film.
It is. It's tremendous. I love it. I praise that and Skyfall all day long.
Yeah.
Those two films, you know, they were fabulous films that he made.
Yeah.
I give him credit there. Credit where credit's due, but the other three, no.
Yeah. That's all right. But is it because of the fact that they tied all the stories together and tried to make it one? Because all the previous ones, obviously, they had a very loose
Connections, didn't they?
yeah, it was very loose.
Didn't go
continuity.
into much detail
Yeah,
about Bond.
all the Bonds basically were playing obviously the same character, and they made references to Bond's dead wife, and you know, he likes vodka martinis and everything. They had a very loose continuity. He was in the Navy and stuff. They all did versions of this, but with the Craig films, they made a very strong effort to make it the last film followed on from the previous, which hadn't been done previously, I don't think.
I didn't mind. It's just when Quantum of Solace came out, it came out at a time during the writers' strike, and it was such a convoluted mess. It was just so boring. It really was. It just was lame. And also the way it was directed by a guy who only directed adverts before. He had the style that was awful. It was poorly directed. I don't mind Spectre. I just think it's a bit pointless. It starts quite well, but then it goes off on a tangent and just doesn't really follow. Didn't need the ending. And
it was 5 minutes too long.
5 minutes too long. And just to sum it up, with the last film, which is an abomination, the biggest abomination in cinema history, as far as I'm concerned, I just can't forgive them for what they did. It's anything but that. I still would have said, okay, I'm satisfied. Had they, you know, not killed James Bond, but the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club, and the first rule of cinema is you don't kill James Bond.
Yeah.
And I will never forgive them for that.
But why?
Because you can't do that. You don't kill James Bond. You just don't. Even at the end of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, when his wife is killed by Blofeld, he doesn't die. Bond does not die. Bond should never die. The one person in cinema that does not die is James Bond.
Yeah.
And if they would have done it in another way, because there are so many different permutations and options you could have gone with, but to choose that, it's blasphemy.
Yeah. No, I agree with Paul to that extent. Only in terms of someone like Indiana Jones, they did toy with at the end of the film of killing him off.
Yeah.
He was mortally wounded and everything, and think, is he going to die? And I kind of felt the same way with what Paul was saying. You don't kill off your childhood heroes.
Yeah.
But it's particularly in such a bad, film.
Yeah.
But in terms of with Bond, I kind of see what Paul's saying is because the in the books, just as a different point of reference, Fleming got sick of the success of the books, and he did toy with the idea of killing Bond off. And I think it's From Russia with Love. At the end, the woman with the spine poison, she actually stabs him with that, and he falls into the ground dead. Well, supposedly dead. You're not sure, but that was it. And he was left like that. And so people were like, was he dead? It's just like, well, we'll see. I'm going to take a break, and I might come back to it. I might not. I might just start a whole new series of books. And he did eventually come back to it and had Bond slowly recover in hospital and come back and think. But they did do a second option where everyone thinks he's dead, and it does tie into this film, No Time to Die, where after he's killed Blofeld, I think she only lived twice, he's struck on the head or he's been poisoned or something. I think something to do with the flower garden. And so he's amnesiac Bond. So he doesn't remember who he is. He doesn't remember what happened. So he ends up living in, and everyone thinks he's dead. The whole Secret Service all think he's dead. And so he's living in Japan as a sea fisherman, because that's, and he marries this Asian girl and has a child, a daughter. He doesn't remember who he is. And that's how the book ends. And he could have gone down that route. The Craig is presumed dead. He's actually alive, but he's living a life. But regardless, but I guess now in hindsight, in the 21st century, it's a bit too Jason Bourne with amnesia, and you can't copy that because it's already kind of been done. But as Paul said, you could have had a different ending where you think he's dead, ambiguously, he might still be alive.
Yes.
I'd
have been satisfied had they left it for the audience to think, is he dead or not? I would have liked that.
If you saw that, perhaps like in the shot of the film, you see missiles land and it explodes in front of me. If you took that shot out and you just saw in distance, would that have been better, do you think?
Yeah, they could have done it in a way to please everyone.
Yeah.
They could have pleased me, they could have pleased you. Do you know what I mean? They could have found a balance, but they didn't. They just went completely...
See, the thing is, I love every single Daniel Craig movie.
That's good for you.
Just because I felt like it was a really, really good arc. And yeah, you're going to get shit ones like, Spectre and Quantum of Solace, but I liked Quantum of Solace. I didn't like Spectre as much as Quantum of
I
Solace.
didn't like that either.
But No Time to Die, I think, is actually one of my favourite Bond movies, just because of the fact that he, after all the shit that he's been through, finally finds someone that he really, really likes, loves, and he has this like amazingly adorable daughter who gets involved in some shit, and he's really, you know, you see at some point he becomes a father and he's making his daughter breakfast and stuff, and she's like, yeah.
No, it's good.
And
There were some very
and
good moments, and it's a shame.
it was some really touching moments,
They
but
were.
like he was like, yes, I want this now, I'm ready to pack it all in, but it was because of that fucking shit, that the targeting virus, whatever it is.
Whatever it
and
was, yeah.
if you come anywhere near
Yes,
someone,
because he
they'll die.
was having, he contained the virus, didn't he? Yeah.
So the way they did it, I thought was really
Particularly
nice.
post-COVID
And
as well.
yeah, and when they
Yeah.
realized that he, you know, when Rami Malek, you know, injects him with it, and he sees the nukes coming, he's like, oh, fuck it. And so he gets Leia Seydoux on the phone.
Yeah, and that's it. Had they not have done that, I probably would have seen it a few times by now, because there were some very good moments in
Yeah.
it. There were. It's a shame. If I saw Barbara Broccoli, I could throttle her.
Yeah.
Honestly. But I really, really would tear into her for what she did. I will never forget. I don't think her dad, God rest his soul, would have ever thought
I
about
was just
doing
about
that.
to say that.
I think he would have been very against that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because the one thing I said about Cubby, because I remember he said before he died, he said, look, if you ever get in trouble making these films, go back to the books.
Yes.
And that's what they always did. And
Yeah.
and in the case of, you know, Casino Royale, they did go back to the book, and they
Yeah.
had some terrific source.
Oh, it's
But
good.
they started off the Daniel Craig movies wanting it to be a completely sort of like short version of James Bond story in a few films. So they started off with that mindset. So I felt like it was only right that at the end of it, you know, they kill off that version of Bond.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the credits, it's like James Bond will return. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll start
Yeah,
again.
it
with
does
someone
say
new.
that at the end of this film. So
I mean, I remember talking about this in our separate James Bond cast,
Yeah.
where
because when we was at college together, I remember we had a chat once waiting for a bus, and it was around the time of, you know, Pierce Brosnan films, and you suddenly come out of it completely out of nowhere, because I think if they were, you know, if they ever make the last James Bond film, then he should die. And I remember saying to Peter about, so I said, well, the minute they do that, it's that's the, your franchise is over, sort of thing.
Yeah. As
And
far as
I
know,
said to you, I said, I don't think they'd ever be bold enough to do that. You know, they wouldn't even consider doing that, because it just, you know, it's like killing off your childhood heroes. You know, you don't do that. But I remember you made a great point of saying, no, but if they did like this, and he saves the world, and he ends up sacrificing himself, and blah, 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 and then this film come out, and you see exactly what it's almost like they heard your pitch at the bus stop 30 years ago, but
nothing surprised you in this day and age.
Exactly.
you got your royalties.
Are you sort of with me as well with that ending? Had they just not done that, you know, been a bit better? Or
Take 5, Alan.
were you very venomous about that?
I was taken back by it.
Mm.
I was taken back by it because I'm thinking, like you said, you don't kill James Bond.
No,
you can't kill James Bond.
No.
And then obviously, you know, that you get a shot of him standing there looking up at the sky, watching these missiles incoming, and obviously you get that explosion. Then you get the exterior, the
wide shot.
the wide shots. Thank you, of all the explosions going off, and thinking, okay, he's
Yeah, how's he going to survive this?
yeah, okay, he dead.
Yeah,
He did.
And then they do that. Then they do the thing with Ray Fiennes and his cabinet with, you know, with money painting and all that, and they're saying, you know, I'll read a, you know,
oh, they have toast
a toast and read a bit of a poem. He's like, I thought this is appropriate. And,
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that was done
And
well.
I thought, well, that's when they kind of said it, thinking, fuck, they've just killed James Bond.
Mm.
They've actually killed him.
No, it's divisive.
And I thought, well, that's different.
I think it was a fitting end for his that version of Bond. Personally.
Yeah, I get that, because I'm guessing this because Craig had a bit of sway in this.
No, he
Yeah,
only Bond to have a producer's credit.
Because he was always pissed off thinking, oh, what's going to happen in the next film? And he's like, for crying out loud, I'd rather, you know, slit my wrists.
Yeah,
Like,
he
what's the
didn't seem
price?
too thrilled about playing the character. Like, it's a bit of a poison chalice, because one, he did it for him to make, you know, A-class films. He got to work with Fincher on the Dragon Tattoo and make some other sort of films that he wouldn't normally get to make. So he did, and I think with all the Bonds, they all got to have a leg up in their careers. They all got to make bigger films than they had than if they weren't James Bond. So, but I think at the same time he kind of resented going back. But that's why I think because Barbara kind of loved Grey so much that she allowed him to have these 4-year breaks or 5-year breaks between, which is a very long time between films. Because Cubby used to knock them out every 2 years.
Well, I'd say what they should have done. I don't know if you said. Just to go off on just veering slightly, the not Justice League, Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
Well, you think Superman's dead at the end because it's like that Luthor's monsters killed him and everything, and they bury him and they put him into the ground and everything, and just suddenly the last shot, a little bit of Earth moves.
Yeah.
So, and you actually think, okay, so because of that debris that moved, you think, I think he's still alive. Yeah. And they could have done that with Daniel Craig. He would have been buried in some way, but he's not in the coffin. I don't know. Yeah. There are so many different ways in which. Yeah, that's it. He attends his own funeral. There are so many different ways they could have cleverly ended it. And I thought, thank heavens for that. Okay, or just make me satisfied in some way, even if you don't see him, but they show a very clever shot or a very clever angle that he could still be alive. Yeah. That would have been fine.
Shadow.
And that's why I just sort of veered off there and thought of that man is the Batman versus Superman. Yeah.
But then this is an idea. So Cubby, Barb, if you're watching, pay attention to this idea.
Say your face.
Or just in case you're watching, because this is my next prediction, and I hope they do this.
Take notice, Barb. Go on.
Right, but you do a movie about a Navy officer, right? And you call it something completely different, right? And it's a completely different setting. You have no idea what you think of watching something completely different. And then by the end of it, he gets made a commander. And at the end, there's the James Bond riff. And it turns around and it's like, boom, James Bond will return. So you're literally slapping people in the face and say, this is the new James Bond. And they shouldn't even announce the next James Bond. They should just do that, bring that movie out. And go, this is the next James Bond.
But you can only get one audience for that, though, because once the audience is out and the secret's out, then there's no,
Well, then you have to coordinate it right, so like have all the films showing like across the world at the same time or something.
And people realise after 2 hours they've actually just watched the new Bond, and they don't realise.
Yeah. It's a tough thing to pull off. I'm not going to lie, but
what would you call it in the Navy?
Yeah, you can call it in the Navy.
Yeah. Sail the 7 seas.
In the Navy.
Yeah.
Pinch your bottom every day.
Anyway.
Well, it's good that you've got two opposing camps.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what films should be. You get something out of it that perhaps you don't, and then you get something out of it perhaps Paul doesn't. I mean, that's the great thing about films. There's no right or wrong. It's what you like, and it's great. You should be able to talk like we're talking now. About it. What is interesting is that as people pointed out, yes, it is Craig's. It's a separate entity to the previous 20 films. You got these 5 films.
Yeah, you could put them all aside and go, okay.
Because Casino Royale was a literally restart button.
Oh yeah.
So you could have that in mind. It wasn't like they just took the previous 20 and just trashed them. They're set. They're no one's going to touch them.
It's an alternate version of James Bond.
An alternate universe.
Alternate universe.
The only way you can sort of
see it that way. And they'll probably just, continue on with this old universe.
I can only think that they're going to wherever they go forward. I mean, they're taking forever to make their mind up. But if they do go like with Aaron Taylor Johnson or whoever, they're going to have to start again. So
obviously,
thing, unless they return to the previous style of films where rather than set up, Bond as the young man and he becomes a spy and everything, just have a straightforward, start the film, he's on a mission, bam, you're in M's office, and then you're sent away, just continue how they used to continue,
hopefully to keep it, over the top like the Roger Moores and the Pierce Brosnan one.
But that's the other great thing, because I think with the Craig era, it did suffer from that, because he had Casino Royale was fairly straight, and then Skyfall had a few elements of humour, and I think with Spectre there was a bit more overt humour, and people. And Sam Mendes, I remember him saying at the time, he says, you should make them more humorous. And then after Spectre, he goes, you made them too funny, they need to be more serious. So you're never gonna.
You got to get everyone.
Right. I was thinking in terms of the villains. Deaths.
Yeah.
If you look at the ones that's blasted into space, and Sanchez has incinerated his own drug petrol. Elliot Carver's built by mixed up by a sea drill, and you know, I could go on. But all the Craig's villains,
Anger's got a great one.
yeah, exactly, completely over the top. But the Craig's one, the Chief gets shot,
Yeah.
Green gets shot,
Yeah.
Silver gets stabbed in the back.
Right.
Spectre, a Blofeld he
He's taken back to prison.
Yeah.
and C just falls.
Yeah. Oh, he falls to his death.
Yeah.
And then
And shot.
Yeah.
Boring.
I tell you though, one of the most touching scenes in the Daniel Craig movies, right, was when that what's his name, the old guy dies. Mathis. Yeah. It was just absolutely,
He's throwing the bin afterwards.
I know, it was absolutely heartbreaking,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, Danny just turns cold. And she's like, how could you just throw him in a bin like that?
He's comforting him in his last moments.
Yeah, that was wonderful, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. It's probably the best bit of Quantum, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to wrap up the podcast with some coming soon titles. And we're just going to talk briefly about what we hope to see from these titles. There's 4 of them. So let's kick off with Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah, so there's a new trailer for Beetlejuice 2. I don't know if you've seen it, Paul, have you?
I haven't yet. No.
No. Well, just from appearances alone, it looks like a good legacy quotation.
It looks like they're keeping to the original quirkiness.
Yeah, you got Michael Keaton back, and he looks the same in the makeup, and
Yeah.
Winona Ryder's back, and
The 2 kids or whatever.
yeah, and
Catherine O'Hara?
Catherine O'Hara's
Yeah,
back.
she's
Yeah,
back.
Yeah, well, we're not going to see Gina Davis or
Alec Baldwin.
Mm.
Well, he might be in prison.
He might be in prison.
next week.
Oh yeah.
It's his trial next week.
It's John next week.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
So no, they're not in the story, but I think whatever it is that they're doing, just based on the trailer, and it's very dangerous, obviously, to judge a film on its trailer because they obviously put the best things in the trailer, and it's obviously to attract people like us to say, oh, everything you loved about the first film, bang, and they always do this, and you probably noticed that they always do. Whatever the theme tune was, they do like a slow version of the theme.
Yeah.
So like with
In the piano.
In the piano version,
piano keeps playing it, but in a very
like Jurassic Park.
slow down tempo.
And they do this with Beetlejuice, you know, the same slow down.
I know.
music.
So are we hopeful?
I like to think so, because only because I know Tim Burton gets final cut on his films, and having him back with Keaton, I mean, it's a great combo. I mean, Keaton's
Yeah, it's great match.
like,
Yeah.
I think I'm optimistic.
Well, I haven't seen the original for a very, very, very long time, since I was very young, so I can't remember it. So I might watch the film again before the new one comes out. But yeah, I might be up for it. Yeah.
Great big black tarantula. Yeah, it was a great sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look forward to it.
Yeah.
Should iterate. It's called Beetlejuice.
Is it a cover title?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
You've said it 3
Beetlejuice.
times, haven't you?
Yeah.
It does look promising.
Yeah, it does
Yeah.
look promising.
It does look
But
promising.
like you say, trailers are deceptive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you can pick up any of these titles we spoke about. You know, Last Jedi, Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
and you know, and you go see anything. Oh,
But I'm going to give him the benefit of that
But
because
yeah.
it's Burton and Keaton.
basically, it's final cut. So
Yeah,
plus.
Gladiator 2. Now, I was dubious until you sent me some screenies.
Yeah.
And at first I frowned at the fact that Denzel is
Denzel, yeah.
the thing. It's like, well, but that wouldn't have happened because black people were slaves and stuff. So that kind of doesn't
all
matter.
of them, they did it.
Yeah, but to the point where he's like emperor.
Well, yeah, he is emperor.
No, I think he's playing a guy who
He's a
was.
slave trader.
He was. I think he was a gladiator. He's kind of like an honorary kind of character. I
Yeah,
believe.
he's a slave.
Okay.
He's been a gladiator.
He looks like he was an emperor.
No,
That's
the
all
emperor's basically again like Commodus.
Yeah, Joseph Quinn.
Yeah.
I think there's
Okay.
there's two emperors
Alright.
in this film, and I think
Yeah.
the story is. I think
Yeah,
based on
carry
history.
away from that one.
I was okay. So you've allayed my fears there.
Yeah.
But and I just hate when they recreate history and they put certain types of characters in positions they weren't in
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
because of the time. But it fucking looks amazing
Mm.
though.
There's a trailer due soon as well.
Yeah, you know,
Have you seen these stills, Paul?
I haven't really, no.
No, I'll show you just while the guys are talking.
the first movie was just absolutely superb in its own right.
We all love that original film.
Wasn't it superb?
It's beautiful. The Gladiator is a beautiful film. Just leave it at
That touch of the afterlife and seeing their family and the music, Lisa Gerrard and Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, there you go. His score for Gladiator was exceptional. I know. We all love that film.
The story, the pacing of it all, it's absolutely fantastic.
Paul Mescal. So he's playing Paul Mescal's playing.
Lucius.
I'll put him on the screen for these.
So Lucius from the first.
Yeah, Lucius, the young Lucius who's now grown up.
So he's become a gladiator. So you got
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal. He's a good actor.
So Denzel is this. Supposedly he's a slave who's won his freedom.
Yeah.
Joseph Quinn
is the new emperor.
He's like the Commodus, I suppose, of the film.
Yeah, and then he's got another picture of.
I think the story is Joseph Quinn has a brother. They're both like emperors, and one's obviously they're like two sides of the same coin. And Joseph Quinn's like the evil one, and he killed his brother off.
I heard they got back to Malta and they recreated the Colosseum thing again, which they did in the first film. And in the return to the film, we got
Connie Nielsen.
Connie Nielsen playing is back, and Derek Jacobi's back playing the senator.
I think Dean George Houseu's is back as well.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good then. Yeah, that'd be
The
good.
one thing that gets me quite interested is Paul Mescal, because he's a terrific young actor. He's terrific. I mean, I saw his most recent film with my girlfriend. And we both saw All of Us Strangers at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
I came out, I said it was mind-bogglingly amazing, and him and Andrew Scott together, both brilliant. And also he did this film called something about a year or two ago. What's it called?
Where he's the father of the daughter.
Yeah.
On holiday in Italy.
Son.
After Sun,
I think. Yeah. But he was so brilliant in All of Us Strangers that I think he's definitely got my attention. So that's the one thing I think I'm intrigued with. I think is Paul Mescal's casting. I think because he's brilliant. And so I don't know. I'm kind of juggling with it still, but I think when you see a trailer for it, you probably say, I'd like to see it. You know.
Because the issue is when the first version is so fucking good, the first movie, you're scared that they might fuck it up, and quite rightly so. So
I think it'll be nearly 25 years since the first one, right? Gap. And since then, I can't recall any major Roman style epics since then. Or I know they usually try and cash in on those sort of things, but there really hasn't been. It didn't revive that genre, really, did it? Thing. So I think we're right for a decent one, and if they're going to do it, better than Ridley. I mean, he's 85 now, and he's churning them out left, right, and centre.
He has a film every year.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott brings out sometimes 2 films a year.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he does.
I don't know how many times a time.
It's quite incredible. So I mean, it's fair to say anticipation is high, and
I'm still quite interested.
Yeah,
it's not something I really requested or really wanted. I don't think anyone really wanted it, but we'll see.
We've got an interesting cast there, and if they haven't Denzel on it, just
anything with Denzel.
I believe it's been bumped up as well. It was scheduled for like the end of November. I think it's going to be the beginning of November.
This year.
Okay, we'll see about that one.
We'll come back.
Beverly Hills Cop 4. I haven't seen it yet. It's out, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I watched it
there's good.
Yeah, I saw it last Wednesday. I'll let Mark go first.
I only watched it last night. I knew we were going to talk about it today, but I enjoyed it. It's in terms of a legacy thing. I was just saying to Paul briefly in the break we had that it works in the sense that it looks like an 80s film, and it's very much in the style of the first 2 films. And it's not afraid to poke fun at the fact that the third film they made was rubbish. They even reference it in the film, where he's in Beverly Hills and they're going through his case file. And says, "Oh, you're here in '84 and '87. You're here in '94. Probably your not your finest hour." And it's really that sort of joke, which I thought was great. And they use all the music from the first 2 films, a lot of the songs from the first 2 films. Straight away you hear the heat is on, from the opening style. And copies the same formula of going from a cold Detroit into a sunny, balmy Beverly Hills. It's great. It felt familiar. It felt good. The vibe was good enough. The humour was wonderfully non-PC. It wasn't.
It wasn't trying to tread careful ground.
Not at all. All swearing and making the sort of jokes that perhaps some more sensitive viewers might go,
Yeah.
which
Cool.
is great. You know,
Go watch it then.
but that's the great thing about it. He wasn't. That's what I liked about it. He kept that whole style. And obviously, seeing Murphy again doing his thing, pretending to be different people to get into different things. You know, all these different sort of. In fact, there's one great scene actually when he goes into the hotel to check in, and he pretended to be, "Hello, I'm John Harrington from." So I'm too knackered. Just give me a room.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'll pay for it this time. I'm not going to try and black it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. It really sort of caught me off guard, that one.
I have heard that some of his jokes are sort of like rehashes.
There are a few, but as I was saying at Paul earlier as well, there's to keep with the legacy thing as having, that's the old story. The new story of having his daughter join the story, she's quite an integral part of the plot, which I'll let Paul speak in a minute. Sorry, but it just I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not the most groundbreaking story, but it's just something to hook seeing these guys on do their thing. The action is wonderfully old school. There's no CG. It's all practical effects, and it's very, really, reassuring to see it again. It felt like an old 80s film, As I say, the humour and the actors, obviously a lot older now, but great to see him,
Eddie Murphy was the youngest out of the trio.
And he's 63, but yeah, he still looks great. And and Paul Reiser and all these sort of the old faces, the old music, the old magic. It felt, if this is going to be the last one, or just to go with Beverly Hills 1 and 2, and then you got this one, it makes a nice sort of trilogy. You can kind of forget the third one. I enjoyed it. What can I say?
Well, ironically, that moment in the hotel was my favourite moment.
Okay, right. Yeah.
There was a moment where it says he gets a room for the night, and she says that'll be $959, and he smiles at her and he says, "I love Beverly Hills."
Yeah.
And it's the way he delivers it, I love Beverly Hills. And I was absolutely gone.
Yeah.
Because for $959, you think you need that like a fucking hole in the head.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a film that will be forgettable in the next couple of weeks.
You're probably right.
But yes, it's better than 3, but that's not hard.
Yeah.
No, you kind of begin to compete with 1 and 2, especially the original, but I love 2 as well. But I thought it's, as Mark said, it's okay, and I think it's okay. It's not a bad film. There's some very good sequences. Eddie looks great still. He moves well. He's still got the Axel Foley dialogue. He's still got the mannerisms, all the gestures and the tics and everything. So. And it's good to see all the cast back, Judge and John and Paul, right? They're all sort of, they've aged a bit.
Serge.
And Serge.
He really caught me off guard with
Bronson Pinchot's, moment, his we should say resurgence. I just thought of that.
Yeah,
I just thought of that. Thank you.
It was great. He did one great thing about it. It's not a spoiler, but he sort of catches you walking past in the mirror.
Yeah.
And it's obviously like an ad lib. He sort of goes back and sort of just checks himself out.
Yeah.
Something like.
The blaming. I mean, you look at him, the Botox on him.
Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah.
But no, it's okay. I didn't. As far as Legacy sequels goes, it was okay for once. They kind of scored with it. It's not a bad film. I still think it was still entertaining, but it's forgettable at the same time. It's forgettable.
It's only up the top shirt. It's not sexy.
Yeah.
It's gross.
No.
Would you like some tea?
Yeah, they do that. They do the get the fuck out.
They do get the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Would you like a little bit of a lemon twist?
Actually,
Great.
come to think of it, just again, we cut it out, but the laugh was there because he laughs only aspiringly in the film, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't sound like that anymore.
No,
it's kind of more watered down. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
I was waiting for that, but it's I guess laughs change over time.
But you do kind of think after 30 years, you think, is that the best storyline you can come up with? Or do you know what I mean? You think,
Yeah.
no,
But at the same time, I think if you're going to do a legacy sequel and you know a story, it's got to follow the same formula. There's only so many times you can go, oh, I've got to drop what I'm doing in Detroit and go to Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I know.
And this is having the girl out, the daughter out there is the only, I guess,
I know.
for doing it. Otherwise, you just move to bloody Beverly Hills and be from there,
Yeah, as well.
But I enjoyed it.
It was okay.
Sure. I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, let me know what you think, Pete. Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. Lethal Weapon 5.
Yeah, so this has been talked about quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I know they've written a script, or Richard Donner, the original director of the films, has written a script called Final Weapon, apparently, and he was about 90 when he sort of come up with the script, and then he said to Mel Gibson, "Listen, if we, the age he is, if by the time we come to make it, if I keep the bucket, tell me promise me you'll take over." And so he did, being his friend, he did, and then of course he did die, and Mel Gibson says, "I'm going to direct it as well as starring it with Danny Glover." I mean, it's been what, 25 years since the last film.
Yeah,
Roughly, yeah.
last one was 98. Yeah,
Oh, was it?
Jet Li, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jet Li. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, they were getting on a bit then. I mean, Mel Gibson's in his late 60s now. Danny Glover's about mid 70s. But the weird thing is, Danny Glover was also playing older than his years because he's supposed to be 50 in the original film, but I think he was like late 30s or something. They aged him up a bit. So, but I'm sure they'll be able, as what we've discussed previously. They like with Ford and everything, they got lots of good stuntmen to do all the heavy lifting. Even in Beverly Hills Cop, the stuntmen kind of did all the work. There's definitely a market for all these things that we've discussed previously, because they're very popular characters and films. People will love to say, "Oh, it'd be great to see these old guys," say they're too old for the shit.
And I am
the joke
actually,
being that they are too old for this shit now.
yeah. I mean, I am actually looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I
I haven't
thought it
started
was
filming
a
yet, but
Richard Donner original.
yeah.
So, what do you think?
I've actually had nothing really on it, apart the fact that Gibson's taken over.
Mm.
I don't know how far into production
I mean,
it is.
they haven't started filming yet, but he said we've got the script and it's just a case of putting the crew together and filming it now.
Mm. But you like the previous
Yeah,
one?
I like the first three. I wasn't really a fan of the fourth one.
Mm.
I think the third one's probably my favourite. That's the one with Stuart Wilson.
Oh yeah,
The old cop
that's a
killer.
good one.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah.
Mm.
He uses the armor-piercing bullets.
Yeah.
Cop killer bullets, yeah.
He's a good villain, actually.
Yeah, Stuart Wilson. He's got a great smile.
Yeah.
Smart-looking smile, Stuart Wilson.
I like Joss in the second one. I think he's
Diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really interested. I don't really like the fourth. I don't mind the first three, but I didn't really like the fourth. I don't really have any interest. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, summing it up, I know you didn't say it at the beginning, but I know you're not a big fan of legacy sequels per se, anyway.
Not really. Only a few. Some are done brilliantly, but a lot of them are done distastefully and
Is it
for
because-
financial reasons.
Is it because they rarely get it right, or is it because they're too old and they should have done it earlier?
It's all those elements. Yeah, maybe they should have done it earlier. There's a sell-by date, unfortunately, that become obsolete through time. But unfortunately, it's the men in suits, the studios, that now just believe we've just got to keep cashing in and doing things that are so sort of past its sell-by date, just for nostalgic reasons, to make money, but try and bring a new generation in because it's a name, it's a brand, and that to me, it just really casts a cloud on it, and it basically they're raping your childhood at the same time, and it just leaves just an awful mark because it's done through men in suits. It's not done through the brains of the creators and the geniuses behind it.
Well, 8 times out of 10, yes.
8 times out of 10,
That is the case.
yes, but you'll always get a rarity like Top Gun, or Tron, like we discussed.
Blade Runner.
And Blade Runner, they nailed it. They get it right. There was a reason for making those. It was necessary. Yeah,
It came from a genuine want to do it rather than some suits saying
So you see where I'm coming from with it. Yeah. Right.
Do you share?
Yeah, I do agree with Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, I think having this discussion today, talking about everything we talked about, it does underline what Paul just said.
Yeah.
The if it was left to the creatives, then yes, the audience would get so much more from these films because they'd be done more with care and done more with love. But unfortunately, they're not in control of the money, the suits, and the corporations now, not even studios. Corporations that own make the big decisions, and it does take there's this thing in the tail of the story. You're not getting what you should be getting.
Yeah.
You're sold that you might be getting this through trailers and everything, but necessarily, a large majority of the time you don't get it. You get a few exceptions, like you mentioned, like with Top Gun and Blade Runner and
And we've said throughout our 80s series, time and time again,
yeah,
that the reason why the 80s movies are so good is because the suits and the executives gave most of the power to those
the
creators.
70s more so, I think, because the
Yeah.
director.
Well, they're experimenting. in
Yeah,
some
they were
ways, weren't
experimenting, but they were allowed to experiment, and you
Yeah.
had
They were.
Scorsese and Spielberg and Lucas and
Coppola and De
Coppola,
Palma,
De
yeah.
Palma, and all these great artists,
Yeah.
given their free reign to do it. And I think by the time the start of the 80s and Heaven's Gate, all that was taken away from them, and then it was the birth of the blockbuster. It's like, well, let's have a formula, and then you had Indiana Jones and Top Gun and things that would appeal to a mainstream audience. But I think by the time now we got into the 21st century, it's more of a case of we'll put bums on seats and try to get them in there. You know, it's I mean, an interesting point. I mean, we didn't talk about the series in particular, but with Stallone and Rocky, and he did he made the Rocky films. And they were quite successful in the 80s. The sequels. Then he made the bad one with Rocky 5. Left it for 15 years or something like that. Did a really good wrap-up one with Rocky 6 or Rocky Balboa as it was called. But then he did something completely different where they did the spin-off series with Creed.
Yeah.
And he did a Rocky acting role because he was at boxing by then. But what did surprise me, surprised the audience, because he got nominated for an Oscar for playing Rocky. In that film, it's best supporting actor. It's one of his best performances.
Yes, yeah.
Because in that film he's championing Creed's son, taking him on, and he's diagnosed with leukemia, and all the chemo scenes. And it's a very tough thing to watch, but he's absolutely brilliant in it because over the years you've grown to love him as a character, and I think as a legacy thing, it was a great direction to go in because it's as like as you were saying, like with Bond and Indiana Jones, you don't want to see your characters die, and so you're kind of rooting for them to survive, and he toyed enough with your emotions to say, well, he's a fighter. Necessarily, he's not physically boxing, but he's fighting to live. And this is treatment when it comes to he inspires the guy to fight, and I thought that was a really great. And they allowed him to write that. That he had the
He did that cleverly.
Yeah.
So, like, to give you an analogy, it's like if John McEnroe was to pick up a tennis racket today and think, I could go back on tour, he's not going to get a game off any of the youngsters because he's too old.
Yeah.
And the youngsters will absolutely laugh at him and wipe the floor. So it's the same thing. Harrison Ford can't play Indiana Jones anymore. He did it for his time when he looked so good in his prime and his his early 30s.
Yeah.
And same with Sly playing Rocky back then, and so on and so on and so on. But for years, the years that pass, unfortunately, nature prevails.
Yeah.
And that's the way I sum it up. Yeah.
I want to go to you, but before I do, I just want to say that you can also tie this to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and his Sherlock Holmes character, because how do you please an audience? How do you get that balance between pleasing an audience and the author pleasing himself with what he wants to do? He wanted to kill off Sherlock Holmes, and the Reichenbach fall, whatever it's called, was his final thing, and the public hated it.
Was that what they did in the films where they fall off the?
He falls off, and he was just going to leave it there.
Moriarty,
they fall off.
Waterfall.
Yeah, and he was just going to leave it there. But then the public just, had this massive outcry.
Yeah.
So he thought of a story to bring him back, and he was just like,
Well, it's like Fleming writing Bond.
Yeah. So this sort of thing happens, and it's like, how do you balance that between satisfying the public and the author satisfying himself? What do you think about legacy sequels?
Mainly, they don't work. They're just, they're just cash grabs at the end of the day. As I said at the start, it's a lightning in a bottle. These things, your Star Wars, your Indiana Jones, your Jurassic Parks.
Yeah,
they captured audiences at the time because they were products of their time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't bring these things from then to now because the world has changed. The world has evolved.
We've got the internet.
We have the internet now. Visual effects have gone through the roof thanks to George Lucas.
And Weta.
And Weta, of course, Lord of the Rings. And of course, don't really mention it, but social politics have changed since then. That's all I will say about that. And
he's talking about wokeism. Go on. Yeah.
And so let's all do it. This is why it doesn't work now. So you say characters like like your Luke Skywalker, okay, fucking we just kill him off. again, the character should have walked off into the sunset.
Yeah.
As he was meant to in the original episode 9 script. He was meant to survive episode 8 and walk off into the sunset at the end of episode 9.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier, like with Rocky,
Yeah.
and you want to have the characters live, because yes, we grew up with these characters, and that's how we want to remember them as we remember them. If you are going to bring them back, don't keep harming them. But saying that, when they did with Rocky, he gave a chance for Stallone in that case to actually do some great acting, and he was great.
I think you have to know when to bend or break the
Yes,
rules.
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
And you have to sort of release that project or artwork, motion artwork, at the right time. You can't just sort of throw it out. And
If they
expect
done
it to
Indiana
do
Jones
well.
perhaps like that, and they didn't, they brought it back and they made it more in that style, like with Rocky. You know, that yes, he was older and everything like that, but it was more tailored for his age. You know, he wasn't a case of using his whip to swing. Yeah, it's more catered for his. I think that it might have been more accessible to an audience, because yes, you see him, he looks great. To see him, he looks great in his outfit. But when you, as Alan mentioned, the social politics sort of thing, you're trying to mesh one world with another. Something from decades ago, and now saying you bring it up into the 21st century, and you're gonna butt head.
Yeah, especially when it's something like Indiana Jones, which is set in history.
Exactly.
These things didn't exist in history.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're trying to enforce a certain amount of cultural things of today into something old, and it doesn't. It's not going to work.
Doesn't necessarily work.
Well, even Godfather 3 didn't work, and that was a time before legacy sequels. I mean, Coppola made that 15 years after Part 2, and I thought, it was so the ending for Part 2 couldn't have been more perfect and more, unbelievably captivating and shocking. And he thought, just sort of leave it there. But he tampered with it and went back to Part 3. Whereas Pacino, it just didn't look right. It was done too late, 15, 16 years too late. This is 1990, early 1990, yeah. So it was made at a time when Godfather 1 and 2 came out in 72 and 74. It was made for the time in 72 and 74 where it looked right. But 1990 is a completely later time period where it just did not feel right, and the story was absolutely awful. Like, it was like, I remember sort of, it was to do with sort of political corruption in the Vatican, and I didn't like it. It just didn't feel right.
I never liked the Godfather trilogy anyway. The first one was alright, but I just got bored.
I third one.
Yeah.
No, look.
And that story that actually happened.
Look,
The mafia.
as I said, if it works for you, whatever, then good luck to you, because that's always the audience's the audience's perspective and their choice, personal choice. So never go against personal choice. You vote for Labour and I vote Conservative, but that's your choice from that point.
Did you vote for Conservative?
That's another conversation for another time.
Okay. So
Tables. That's how it is.
Oh, we're not going to end on politics.
No.
We'll end on a good but yeah.
So legacy. I think that what we can take from this is that legacy sequels have to be done right. You can't just rush them. You have to sit down and you have to analyze the climate of the world that they're in at the time, and you can't just sort of throw something out with some 2-bit writer, screenwriter, or whatever. And I want to see more book adaptations. I want to see more genuine, honest work, and I want the executives and the cents at the top to give more power to these creators, because if you don't do that, cinema is going to die. And I've been feeling this for a while, that cinema has been dying on its feet, because there doesn't seem to be any more sort of originality. And we need that. We need a resurgence of 70s/80s stuff. And I hope we get it. That's going to be all for today's session. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, do all that wonderful stuff. And we're going to say goodbye to my partners in crime, Mark.
Goodbye.
Paul.
Au revoir.
And the master of horror, Alan.
Adios.
Adios. Okay, everyone. See you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.